Chapter 270. If you want to fight, I'll fight with you. If you don't want to fight, retreat immediately. The ancient giant's voice was like thunder. When he opened his mouth, Dao voice burst out. Rumble. Rumble. It was deafening. Moreover, the voice was sacred and pure, dispelling all evil auras. It was majestic and supreme, like the teachings of a saint, and no one could refute it. It was like the voice of the origin of the Tao. The ancient giant's voice cut through the air, causing a huge sonic boom. It was extremely terrifying. It was as if it was going to pierce and shatter one's soul. In the face of such a voice, it seemed like anyone could only bow their head and obey, crawl on the ground and tremble. Not only did it make people want to retreat, but it also made them feel helpless, as if there was no place in the world for them to stand on. Am I, Xiaofan, going to be defeated in the first round? Xiaofan was shaken by the Tao voice of the ancient giant. His blood and qi surged and his body went limp. He almost lost control of his mind. However, there was also a roar of indignation in his heart. I, Xiaofan, have been blessed with luck in my life. I obtained the demon egg, went against the heavens and seized the destiny. I made a name for myself in the Pure Rain sect, passed the devil hero trial, and defeated the green dragon demon emperor. Could it be that my luck is too good and I'm envied by the heavens, causing my luck to decline? No, my fate is in the hands of man, not the heavens. If the heavens want to destroy me, I'll kill them. Moreover, I have to prepare for the expanding acupoint realm. Not only do I need to accumulate enough strength, I also need to sharpen my spirit so that it will be flawless and sharp. If I retreat now, it will leave a shadow in my heart, and my will to win will suffer a setback. What's more, it will give birth to inner demons. If that's the case, I won't be able to reach the expanding acupoint realm in a short period of time. No, I can't retreat. If I just sit here and wait for death, the consequences will be unimaginable. This is not my spirit. Xiaofan's face gradually showed a trace of determination and determination. Traces of battle intent, in an extremely unlikely situation, were completely born from the depths of Xiaofan's heart, at the same time. In another tunnel. Xiong Baishan, who ranked 1800th on the Devilman list, was in the same situation as Xiaofan. At the end of the path Xiong Baishan had chosen, a divine light that was rarely seen throughout the ages bloomed. That ancient giant clasped his hands behind his back and unleashed his aura, ruthlessly suppressing Xiong Baishan. The mental pressure was unparalleled, causing Xiong Baishan to lose all will to fight. His face paled, his knees went soft, and he was in a daze. If you want to fight, then I will fight you. If you don't want to fight, retreat immediately. Rumble. Rumble. The sound of the great Tao erupted and surged over, shaking Xiong Baishan to the point of groaning and directly prostrating on the ground. His body was also trembling. Aren't you going to retreat? Do you really want to fight with me? Overestimating yourself. You overestimate yourself. The voice of this ancient titan was like millions upon millions of people roaring at the same time. Thousands upon thousands of monsters roared at the same time. Thousands upon thousands of volcanoes erupted at the same time. Overwhelming the heavens and earth. Overbearing. 1,000 li in one go. I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. Under this unparalleled pressure, Xiong Baishan's last bit of will to fight vanished in an instant. This lowly one has drawn the worst lot. Encountering an eternal giant like you, I truly do not have any means to resist. I'll retreat now. I can only blame myself for being unlucky. Sigh. Xiong Baishan got up, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and turned to leave. Suddenly, a thought flashed across Xiaofan's mind. I know. I finally understand now. I've been fooled. Before this, I've suspected that this is a conspiracy by the higher-ups of the Devil Hero Pagoda against me. They know that there's a shocking secret in my heart. They didn't expose it in front of me, but did something behind my back. They made an exception to let me participate in this devil hero ranking competition just to trick me. Then, within the scope of the rules, they let me meet an ancient titan in the first round and then I'll be eliminated. From then on, I'll be depressed, and I'll be plagued by inner demons. Then, I'll be a useless person. I see. I knew that my luck wouldn't be that bad. I actually ran into a 1 in 16 chance. Xiaofan was enraged. His fear towards the ancient titan gradually disappeared, and was replaced by anger and hatred. And a rebellious mentality. You guys want to trick me, and harm me, but I, Xiaofan, will not comply. You want me to give up just like that? I'm going to give it a try. Now that I've seen through your conspiracy, if I retreat just like that, I'll never have a good ending. Instead of that, I might as well give it my all and kill to my heart's content. Whether it's an ancient titan or an immortal, if you're willing to be cut into pieces, how dare you drag the emperor down from his high horse? Xiaofan was full of determination. He was going to risk it all. You're still not going to retreat? Do you really want to fight me? You've overestimated yourself. You've overestimated yourself. The ancient titan's voice was heard again. It was exactly the same as Xiong Baishan's. However, when this sentence entered Xiaohan's ears, it became an extremely humiliating sentence. It was like a slap to Xiaohan's face. Overestimated myself? Overestimated myself? Do I have to kneel before you and beg for your forgiveness? Do I not have the slightest chance to resist? Xiaofan could feel the pressure from the ancient titan approaching him, causing him to feel suffocated. However, he was unwilling to lose his dignity and be humiliated like this. Thus, he raised his voice and retorted. Strangely, after saying this, Xiaofan actually felt a little better. More comfortable. The feeling of being restrained was immediately relieved. What was even stranger was that the demonic egg that was hibernating in Xiaohan's heart also emitted a faint throbbing, emitting a sense of contentment. Vaguely, the demonic egg transmitted a blurry, almost undetectable intent to Xiaofan. Xiaofan could not fully comprehend the intent, but he could sense one word: dignity. Could it be that the demonic egg is also telling me not to give in, and to have dignity? Xiaofan was shocked to the core. Oh! The ancient titan was stunned by Xiaohan's attitude. Unbelievable. You are so young. Even if you had some miraculous encounters, in front of me, you are nothing more than an ant. With a single thought, I can kill you 1,000 times, 10,000 times. Yet, you dare to roar? What kind of power is it that allows you to face my majesty head-on and even dare to roar? Because of my dignity. Xiaofan held his heart with his right hand. Dignity? The ancient titan was surprised. You dare to talk about dignity in front of me? This is unbelievable. Originally, I wanted to give in. It is true that I am not your opponent, definitely not your opponent. However, the dignity in my heart stopped me from doing so. I used to be a living target with no dignity to speak of. Every day, I was beaten up by others and struggled to survive. At that time, I swore every day that one day, when I, Xiaofan, have power, I will never lose my dignity again. Because I have lost my dignity, I know how precious it is. It is more precious than any martial arts technique, true qi technique, or cultivation level. If a person loses his dignity, he is no different from a walking corpse. Today, if I cower and retreat, then I will never be able to recover from this setback, and the demon in my heart will never be removed. Xiaohan's words were spoken from the bottom of his heart. On the other hand, it was as if the demonic egg in his heart was also transmitting its will, forcing Xiaofan to say these words to not lose his dignity. It was as if the demonic egg also had a supreme dignity that could not be blasphemed. Since Xiaofan had refined the demonic egg, he could not lose his dignity. Hearing Xiaohan's words, the ancient titan was silent. Shockingly, after Xiaofan had finished speaking, he immediately felt that his spirit and soul had become highly condensed, as if they were about to transform. Xiaofan's heart skipped a beat. One had to know that the gap between the 5th level true qi and the 6th level true qi was an insurmountable gap. It required a huge amount of accumulation in order to break through. This accumulation, on one hand, was the accumulation of true qi and physical body, but more importantly, it was a transformation of one's spirit, a sublimation of one's will. One had to go through all kinds of hardships, wander between the line of life and death many times, and possess the courage to face death calmly. Only when all these accumulations were enough, could one suddenly make a huge turnaround, breaking out of the cocoon and becoming a butterfly, reaching the heavens in a single bound. After saying these words, my body actually felt relaxed, and my spirit also gained an indescribable accumulation. Xiaofan's eyes flashed with enlightenment. Indeed, Xiaofan had gained the accumulation and transformation of his spirit. This was an opportunity that could not be sought after. Xiaofan's entire brain became crystal clear. His mind was shining brightly, his mind was clear, and his train of thought was smoother than before. His thinking speed increased, and his thoughts flowed smoothly. Furthermore, in an instant, Xiaofan's eyes shone brightly. His spine straightened, and his whole body became as majestic as a mountain. He emitted an indescribable courage. He had actually taken a step forward. One had to know that he was facing an ancient giant on the demon warrior ranking, an antique ranked in the top 100, and an immortal existence. In the face of such a person, even an ancient powerhouse would not dare to take a step forward. In other words, a step was a short distance, but it required great courage, wisdom, and willpower to overcome the demons in one's heart to take the step forward. However, Xiaofan had taken the step forward. At that moment, ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. The ancient giant burst out laughing. Suddenly, his entire body exploded. Streams of immortal qi surged out, and the air was filled with countless immortal talismans, immortal cranes, immortal apes, immortal mountains, and immortal palaces. It was a spectacular sight. The stone wall behind the ancient giant suddenly opened up to reveal a stone door. Gorgeous colors, divine light and precious light radiated. Ha ha ha. Good job, kid. Congratulations, you've drawn the best lot. The ancient giant's voice echoed in the tunnel, full of gratification. I can't believe you actually took the step forward. Good, good, very good. One step forward and one step back, heaven on earth. This is the best lot. What's going on? Xiaofan was startled. One step forward is the best lot, one step back is the worst lot. Young man, don't underestimate this step. After you take it, the shackles in your heart will be completely broken. Your spirit will be sublimated. You're accumulating now to expand your meridians, right? Accumulate well. I'm sure that once you've accumulated enough, you'll start expanding your meridians. The first time you expand your meridians will be no small matter. You might even be able to create a miracle. Your future is limitless. Do you know how many people can't even take this step? You actually did it. Innate courage, this is innate courage. Good, good, hurry up and prepare for the second round of the trial. This seat wants to see just what kind of level you, this young man, can reach in the future. Ha ha ha. I'm optimistic. Chapter 271. The morning sun slowly rose above the sea level. It was covered by a few patches of bright red clouds. Whoosh! Light shone through the gaps in the clouds, like countless dragons spitting out a golden waterfall. Giant Whale Island, an ancient island that had stood on this sea since ancient times, was bathed in the morning light, shining brightly. Behind the towering divine mountain was a vast plain that stretched as far as the eye could see. The morning breeze carried the fragrance of leaves from the distant mountains. There were dandelions floating in the air. Several senior heroes with strong auras were either sitting, standing, or floating in the air, standing on this plain. There were 7 senior heroes in total. They had defeated their opponents and passed the first round of this year's Devil Hero Ranking Challenge. They passed through the tunnel in the belly of the mountain and arrived at this fertile plain. There are still 2 entrances that have not been opened. Thousand Sword Gentleman crossed his arms and looked at the 2 entrances on the mountain wall that were still sealed. There is a total of 1 tunnel. The 7 of us met each other on a narrow path and met our competitors. In the martial arts round, we won and finally passed. Zhuge Xing's eyes flashed. There is still 1 place left. There are 2 tunnels, one with the best lot and the other with the worst lot. It is quite clear. Who will get the best lot and pass directly? Lu Weiniang, the only remaining woman among the 7 senior heroes who had passed, thought for a moment. That young man, Xiaofan, is at least in one of these 2 tunnels. I don't know if he will get the best lot. Xiaofan. That rookie who doesn't even have a ranking. At such a young age, he doesn't know how to restrain himself. How dare he roar at me? Ingzhan Tian laughed sinisterly. Maybe he will get the worst lot and be eliminated directly. But this elimination is the most optimistic result for him, lest he embarrasses himself in the second round. If he enters the second round, it will be unjustifiable. Humph. I will torture this arrogant kid like he is a pig or a dog. Brother Ing, that Xiaofan is indeed a disgusting guy. However, I have some personal grudges with Xiaofan. If Xiaofan is lucky enough to pass the first round and enter the second round, Brother Ing, please let me have Xiaofan, and let me deal with him personally. The Emperor of the Great Sun looked at Ingzhan Tian. Ingzhan Tian sneered noncommittally. The last one might be Xiong Baishan. The black-robed, long-haired man, Tang Shan, who was born with a lightning bloodline and could summon lightning from the 9 heavens to kill his enemies, was sitting cross-legged. His face was slightly pale. Just now, in the tunnel, he encountered a formidable opponent, and after a bitter battle, he successfully passed. I hope that the one to enter the second stage is Xiaofan and not Xiong Baishan. Zhuge Xing smiled faintly. In his eyes, there was nothing that could go wrong. Even if the young Xiaofan had a fortuitous encounter, his foundation is still shallow. For the time being, he can't pose a threat to us, who have been through hundreds of battles. However, Xiong Baishan is different. After cultivating mountain-swallowing divine art, he was able to expand his acupoints 10 times, it is no small matter. Just then, he's out. Lu Weiniang shouted, interrupting Zhuge Xing's words. Huh! All the veteran swordsmen present stared at the mountain wall. Wang, on the mountain wall, 2 holes simultaneously released misty rays of light. The air twisted and rolled like ripples. Soon, one of the holes was completely closed, and the membrane above the other hole suddenly dissipated. This caused a person to slowly walk out from the hole. This person was a young man, his footsteps were calm, his eyes were firm, and his temperament did not seem to be very sharp, powerful, and just plain. However, his pair of eyes were like an ancient well, emitting an unfathomable feeling. This young man, if not Xiaofan, who else could it be? It's Xiaofan. His luck really covers the heavens. Lu Weiniang could not help but sigh softly. A 1 in 16 chance to draw the best lot, it's actually him. TSK, amazing. Truly amazing. Humph. What a lucky bastard. The Emperor of the Great Sun snorted coldly. Immediately after, he looked at Xiaofan with great interest, like a hunter looking at his prey. Suddenly, his right hand gently squeezed, and a lump of air was squeezed, as if he had squeezed Xiaofan to death. Ingzhan Tian also looked at Xiaofan, and let out a malicious laugh. As for the 7 Night Devil Lord and the 1,000 Sword Gentleman, they took a quick look at Xiaofan, and then moved their eyes away. There was also a trace of contempt in their eyes. Such good luck. Zhuge Xing shook his head and laughed. That ancient giant was right. Sometimes, luck is indeed more important than strength. The strength of this young man, Xiaofan, may not be able to match up to Xiong Baishan. However, Xiong Baishan drew the worst lot, and was directly eliminated by an ancient giant. And this Xiaofan? He. And at this moment, Xiaofan walked out of the tunnel, and his eyes swept across the 7 veteran heroes standing on the plain. His heart slightly moved. It seems that the second round's opponents are these people. The Emperor of the Great Sun, Ingzhan Tian, have successfully passed and entered the second round. In the eyes of these veteran heroes, Xiaofan was lucky to have drawn the best lot, and won without a fight, and directly passed the round. However, Xiaofan knew his own strength. This best lot was not that simple. There were mysteries hidden within. One must subdue their inner demons, be born with divine courage, and dare to take a step forward in front of an ancient giant. Only then would they be able to pass the round. Between advancing and retreating, it was decided that the best and worst lot would be drawn. It was not an exaggeration to say that Xiaofan's choice and circumstances were much more difficult than these 7 veteran heroes. These 7 veteran heroes might not even have the foundation to fight back or even take a step forward in front of the ancient giants, right? Of course, this kind of thing was not something that outsiders should know, and Xiaofan would not speak of his own experience. Xiaofan walked over. Xiaofan, congratulations, you have also entered the second round. Lu Weiniang smiled politely at Xiaofan. My luck is good. Xiaofan smiled back. Indeed, Xiaofan, your luck is really good. The 1 in 16 chance was also met by you. This is the blessing that the ancient giants have mentioned. Once blessing arrives, it cannot be stopped. Ha ha ha. Zhuge Xing casually laughed and said. Xiaofan shrugged his shoulders. Can't help it, it's just that my luck is good. Xiaofan, don't be so arrogant. I want to see how long your luck can last. The Emperor of the Great Sun's face was as gloomy as water. The calm and relaxed expression on Xiaofan's face made the Emperor of the Great Sun very unhappy. Xiaofan just looked at the Emperor of the Great Sun and did not say anything. At this moment, congratulations to the 8 of you, you have entered the second round. In the sky, the divine light and the glow of treasures descended, the fog was heavy, and the ancient giant, from the ancient god light, walked out gracefully. Greetings, ancient giant. The veteran heroes, all bowed one after another. Good, very good, very good. The ancient giant laughed continuously. He glanced at Xiaofan from the corner of his eyes, but did not specifically say anything to Xiaofan. A hint of obscure praise flashed across the ancient giant's eyes. From the beginning, I have said, the competition system for this time's ranking challenge is very simple, there are only 2 rounds. Now, you have passed the first round of selection. To be able to stand here, it means that you have both strength and luck. Then, enter the second round. This second round is 8-1. In other words, out of the 8 of you, only one will be able to emerge victorious. The ancient giant smiled faintly. Including Xiaofan, the 8 of them held their breath and pricked up their ears. 8-1. On the surface, the difficulty of the second round was far greater than the first round. And it could be said to be cruel, there were a total of 7 people who would be eliminated. The rules of the second round. The ancient giant's tone was neither fast nor slow. Before I announce the rules of the second round, I will say something out of the topic. Regarding this giant whale island, you may have heard some rumors. Many people say that the giant whale island, in ancient times, was transformed from a divine beast, the giant whale. Now, I will tell you, this rumor is true. As soon as this was said, What? This giant whale island really was transformed from an ancient creature? But why can't I feel a trace of life? Ingzhan Tian frowned, his face was also full of confusion. The other veteran heroes also looked at each other, confused, like monks scratching their heads. In ancient times, a divine whale once wreaked havoc in the human world, causing a rain of blood in the human world and destroying many empires. Later, it was sealed by a group of veteran heroes. It can be said that this ancient divine whale has fallen and turned into an island. Its meridians, flesh, blood, bones, skin, and internal organs were transformed into the island's forests, plains, ores, and spirit herbs. Its essence chi was transformed into the island's spirit stones, which also gave birth to the spirit veins. However, only the mystical whale's heart had yet to merge with the island. We call it the giant whale's heart. In other words, the ancient divine whale's heart is still on this island. The ancient giant smiled. Oh. The second round's content is to find the giant whale's heart? A flash of understanding flashed through Xiaofan's mind. Ancient giant, the second round's content is to find the ancient divine whale's heart on the island? Ingzhan Tian also asked. The giant whale's heart is hidden very deeply. The giant whale island is too big. You may not be able to find the giant whale's heart. In ancient times, this giant whale was also an evil creature that wreaked havoc. It had many divine abilities. Although it was subdued by many experienced swordsmen and turned into an island, given your cultivation base, it would be difficult to find its heart even if you released your psychic fluctuations. The ancient giant hesitated for a moment. If the second round's content is to find the giant whale's heart, I'm afraid none of you will be able to pass. How about this, only finding the giant whale's heart will be part of the test. In the next moment, whoosh whoosh whoosh, 8 jade badges shot out from the ancient giant's body. Each jade badge was the size of a palm and was engraved with many talisman characters and pictures of mountains, rivers, birds, and insects. The 8 jade badges were caught by the 8 participants and held in their hands. Xiaofan held the jade badges and felt that they were warm to the touch. He could not help but send his spirit into the jade badges. However, he found that the jade badges in his hand were ordinary and did not have any special features. There's no need to look at them. They are just ordinary jade badges. Now listen up, I will announce the content of the second round. The ancient giant became serious. Each jade badge represents 10 points. I'll randomly teleport you all to different parts of the giant whale island. What you need to do is to snatch the jade badges from other participants and take their points. If you snatch a jade badge, it means that you won't get any points. In 3 days, the one with the highest total points will be the final winner of the Devil Hero Ranking Challenge. Remember, in 3 days, only one winner will be selected and get a ranking. What you need to do is to defeat as many other participants as possible and take their points for yourself. Once a participant's jade badge is snatched, he will be automatically transported out of the giant whale island. In addition, as I said, finding the giant whale's heart is also part of the second round. Whoever can find the giant whale's heart will get points. However, you won't be able to find the giant whale's heart in 3 days. Therefore, you can ignore the search for the giant whale's heart. The main thing is to snatch the jade badge points from other participants. Don't worry, I will personally watch over the giant whale island. When you compete and kill each other, you won't be in danger of losing your life. You can kill to your heart's content, but no one can kill their opponent under my watch. Even if your opponent is seriously injured, as long as they are still breathing, I will heal them and make them as good as new. Do you understand the rules of the competition now? Understood. Ancient giant, we all understand. The senior devil heroes nodded one after another. Xiaofan also nodded in secret. Oh, that's right. Ancient authorities, if 2 people manage to obtain the same number of points in 3 days' time, how will the winner be determined? Zhuge Xing was a cautious person as he asked. It doesn't matter. Those with the same points will fight one-on-one, and the winner will be the king, the ancient giant said lightly. Good. This kind of rule suits me. Ingzhan Tian's whole body was filled with battle intent. Under this kind of rule, the one with the bigger fist will obtain more jade badge points. Ha ha ha. Those weak ants will show their true colors. He glanced at Xiaofan with the corner of his eyes. Humph. The great Sun Emperor looked at the jade badge in Xiaofan's hand, licked his lips and laughed sinisterly. Xiaofan, in these 3 days, you better dig a hole and bury yourself. Pray that I won't find you. Hee, if you fall into my hands, not only will I snatch your jade badge, but... A strong killing intent rolled in the eyes of the great Sun Emperor, becoming more and more intense. His voice suddenly became as thin as a gossamer. I will beat you up until you are half dead. Kneel and beg for mercy. Heh, great Sun Emperor, you better keep a close eye on your jade badge. Don't let others snatch it away. Xiaofan retorted sarcastically. In the next moment, boom, from the ancient giant's body, 8 blazing tornadoes burst out and enveloped the 8 participants. In an instant, the 8 participants were blown to different parts of the giant whale island. Fight to your heart's content. Snatch the jade badge points. The winner will be the king. The second round of the Devil Hero ranking competition has officially begun. I want to see who will get the ranking. Ha 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 ha. To be continued. Chapter 272. Xiaofan felt as if the world was spinning around him, and he was dizzy. He even felt as if space was being reversed. His ears were filled with the whistling sound of the wind, and his body was wrapped in endless light. When Xiaofan opened his eyes, I was actually transmitted here. He saw that Xiaofan was standing in a dense primitive jungle. In all directions, there were towering giant trees, their branches and leaves covered the sky, and there was rarely any sunlight could penetrate. The jungle was dark and damp, emitting a rotten smell, and there was also methane rising in spirals. The roots of some old trees were like horned dragons, incomparably thick and lofty. Creak creak creak, Xiaofan stepped on the dead branches and withered leaves, walking step by step towards the outside of the forest. His spiritual fluctuations were extremely condensed, released like flowing water, and sensed the surroundings. At the same time, in Xiaofan's mind, all kinds of thoughts came one after another. In this second level, I have to defeat other contestants and get jade card points. In 3 days, whoever has the most points will get the position of 1650th on the Devil Hero list. This is also a game of hunting and being hunted, similar to the Devil Hero trial. Now, the most important thing for me is to find other contestants and defeat them. As he walked slowly, Xiaofan used the spirit turtle's true qi to seal up all of his true qi, vital energy, and even his body temperature and heartbeat. The aura of the whole person suddenly became like wood and stone. Now, Xiaofan's whole body had opened 50 true acupoints, and the amount of true qi was not what it used to be, so it was easier to activate the spirit turtle true qi. Those senior devil heroes. All of them are battle-hardened. Experienced in Jianghu. It is not so easy to deal with them. The first thing I have to do is to hide myself perfectly, at least not to be seen by them. Then, I will slowly plan. Among the 7 opponents, the most difficult to deal with should be that Ingzhantian. The cultivation of the talisman transforming realm cannot be taken lightly. To be honest, it is best to avoid Ingzhantian. If I encounter Ingzhantian, it is hard to predict the outcome of the fight. Even if I use all my demon skills, I may not be able to suppress him. Half an hour later, Xiaofan finally walked out of this primitive jungle. Outside the forest was a meandering stream. The water was so clear that one could see one's hair. Xiaofan walked to the side of the stream and bent down to scoop up some water to wash his face. Then, he lay down flat with a piece of hay in his mouth and crossed his legs. With his hands behind his head, he continued to think about the rules and details of the second stage. I have to get the highest score. It was supposed to be defeating 7 opponents and obtaining 70 points. However, in reality, as long as one defeated 4 opponents and obtained 4 jade tokens, obtaining 40 points, one would basically be undefeatable. He'll win without a hitch. Of course, searching for the colossal whale's heart will become a huge variable in the second stage. Once you find the heart of the giant whale, you'll immediately obtain 100 points. You won't have to fight for the jade tokens of other contestants anymore. However, the ancient giant had also said that the giant whale island is vast and boundless. The giant whale's heart is hidden very deeply. Even if the ancient giant had released his spiritual wave, he might not be able to find the giant whale's heart. Seriously speaking, the difficulty of finding the giant whale's heart is many times more difficult than defeating the other participants and stealing their jade medallions. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Forget it. I won't have the wishful thinking of finding the giant whale's heart. Xiaofan laughed at himself. I should just deal with the other participants, although they are very difficult to deal with, ancient giant whale. I really didn't expect that this island was actually transformed from an ancient giant whale. The ancient pure-blooded mutant beasts are too magical. Ancient giant whale, ancient golden swan, ancient pure-blooded swan and ancient pure-blooded heavenly dragon. Xiaofan casually thought. However, at this moment. Wait! Xiaofan suddenly jumped up from the ground, the hay in his mouth slipping down. Ancient giant beast? Ancient giant whale? The myriad beasts devouring technique that I'm cultivating is said to be able to refine all beasts in the world, even divine beasts. At the place where the totem dwelled in the Heavenly Dragon Empire's imperial city, I used the myriad beasts devouring technique to refine the kingdom's sacred beasts, the pure-blooded swan and the pure-blooded heavenly dragon. Although the process was full of twists and turns and it was difficult, it ended with success in the end. Later on, when I was fighting against the Azure Dragon Demon Emperor, I used the myriad beasts devouring technique to interrupt his transformation. Everything has its vanquisher and it restrained the Azure Dragon Demon Emperor. Now that this giant whale island is formed from the ancient bloodline, why don't I use the myriad beasts devouring technique and give it a try? A sudden idea seized Xiaofan's mind. Moreover, this idea took shape in just a few breaths' time. He did it immediately. At the next moment, Xiaofan's hands were like butterflies flying through flowers, continuously forming hand seals. Wisps of divine light and precious clouds flickered agilely and lingered around Xiaofan's body. Immortal Qi and Immortal Charm were faintly discernible. Dazzling Immortal Talismans were produced one after another. Moreover, these Immortal Talismans swiftly weaved into a formation according to a unique rhythm. A formation that emitted an ancient, desolate, and tyrannical aura. 10,000 Beast Engulfing Formation. The 10,000 Beast Engulfing Formation rumbled. Suddenly, the entire giant whale island seemed to tremble. Xiaofan's blood boiled. However, the giant whale island only trembled slightly, and then remained motionless. Everything was calm, and there was nothing out of the ordinary. The sky was clear, and there was nothing out of the ordinary. The 10,000 Beast Engulfing Formation floated above Xiaofan's head, rotating continuously. However, it did not seem to be absorbing and refining the entire giant whale island. Oh! The 10,000 Beast Engulfing Formation is ineffective. Xiaofan was stunned. Then, he shook his head and laughed. It seems that I've thought too much. Although this giant whale island was formed from the ancient divine whale, the ancient divine whale's corpse had already become the flowers, trees, and spirit stone veins on the island. Even the essence blood of the ancient divine whale had already dissipated. This was equivalent to a qualitative change. Even the form of life had undergone a transformation. It was no longer the corpse of the giant whale, but had completely become an island. Alright, I don't want to think too much here. Let's hurry and find the other contestants. Xiaofan patted the grass and leaves on his robe, and prepared to put away the 10,000 beast engulfing formation. He wanted to leave this place. However, at this moment, then, something strange happened. Whoosh, the 10,000 beast engulfing formation actually moved. The formation was not under Xiaofan's control, and actually floated towards the west. What's going on? Xiaofan was shocked. Looking into the distance, the 10,000 beast engulfing formation had already disappeared into an old forest. It was as if there was something on this island in the unseen world. It was extremely attractive to the array formation. Xiaofan had no time to think. He leaped and chased after the formation. Whoosh, the formation flew in the sky at a moderate speed. Xiaofan ran on the ground with large strides, following closely behind. What on this island can attract the 10,000 beast engulfing formation? Xiaofan was at a loss. In the first round of the Hex Hero ranking competition, Xiaofan faced an ancient giant and bravely took a step forward, which made him break the shackles on his mind. In his mind, he opened a door and window, which made his mind metamorphose. His thinking was more flexible, and his vision was more brilliant than before. Sometimes, his thinking would be bold and imaginative, and he would have a stroke of genius. The reason why he suddenly had the idea to use the 10,000 beast engulfing formation to try to refine the island was because of this breakthrough and change in thinking. His mind was very flexible. But now, the 10,000 beast engulfing formation actually flew out on its own, as if it was taking the initiative to find some secrets. This made Xiaofan's mind flash with a strange idea. The island is a dead object, and can't be refined by the 10,000 beast engulfing formation. At this moment, the 10,000 beast engulfing formation is not under my control, but like a wild horse, it flew out on its own. What attracted the formation? Obviously, the thing that could attract this formation must have something to do with the bloodline of a beast. Could it be that there are some strange beasts on this giant whale island? Or at least there should be some beast skeletons. Wait. Could it be, the giant whale's heart? The ancient giant once said that this ancient divine whale's corpse had already turned into dust, rocks, grass, and trees. However, its heart had never fused with the island. Could it be? It's the ancient divine whale's heart that is attracting the 10,000 beast engulfing formation. Xiaofan's mind suddenly tensed up. The giant whale's heart. Could it really be the giant whale's heart? Bang! Xiaofan jumped over a huge rock and increased his speed. His eyes were fixed on the 10,000 beast engulfing formation that was flying in the sky. This is great. Maybe the 10,000 beast engulfing formation has sensed the giant whale's heart. Maybe it's another fortuitous encounter. Bang bang bang! Xiaofan ran all the way, crushing countless rocks and shooting stars. He followed the 10,000 beast engulfing formation's guidance and headed west. Not long after Xiaofan left, a sword light flashed by. A middle-aged man with a proud and lonely temperament descended. He carried a long sword on his back and his eyes were completely white. He bent down and looked at the soil that was trampled by Xiaofan and the shrubs that were crushed. He nodded slightly and murmured. Someone passed by here. It seems that this person's physical body is extremely strong. Everywhere he passed, he was like a wild beast ravaging. If I'm not wrong, it should be Xiaofan. Judging from the Hex Hero selection this time, this young man Xiaofan specializes in physical body cultivation. He's a savage beast in human form. This person was the 1,000 Sword Gentleman, ranked 1788th on the Hex Hero ranking. The 1,000 Sword Gentleman stood up and glanced to the west. This young man Xiaofan really has no experience in the Jianghu. He doesn't know how to hide himself and actually left traces everywhere. Forget it, I'll take Xiaofan's jade token first and get 10 points. From the first test, this Xiaofan person's luck is like a rainbow. People with good luck are very difficult to deal with. Now that I've found traces of him, I'll take this opportunity to get rid of him first. I can't let his luck continue to flourish. Otherwise, it might bring me unexpected trouble. The corner of the thousand-sword gentleman's mouth twitched. His body turned into a sword light and followed Xiaofan's footsteps like a maggot on a tarsal bone. However, as soon as the thousand-sword gentleman disappeared, a mist floated in the air, and the water vapor rolled. A graceful figure walked out of the misty water vapor. It was Lu Wenying. Xiaofan's whereabouts have been exposed by the thousand-sword gentleman. Lu Wenying thought for a while. In less than an hour, the thousand-sword gentleman will catch up with Xiaofan and there will be a fierce battle. I'll also follow him quietly to take a look. Ha! The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Moreover, Xiaofan has been in the limelight recently. Even the green dragon demon emperor died in his hands. I want to see what this young man has up his sleeves. Chapter 273. Xiaofan was running. The 10,000 beast-devouring array formed by the ethereal immortal talismans was attracted by something and flew all the way to the west. It guided Xiaofan to move forward. Bypassing the river, climbing over the mountain, jumping over the stream, crossing the swamp, is this the legendary heart of the giant whale? Xiaofan's heart was full of questions. But at the same time, he was full of hope and expectation. At this moment, Xiaofan had completely forgotten about the matter of hunting down the other participants and robbing them of their jade badges. Boom! Xiaofan stomped his feet on the ground and leaped 1,000 feet into the air, leaping over a mountain. He was really a beast in human form. However, just as Xiaofan landed on the ground, his body suddenly stopped moving. He moved like a fleeing rabbit, and was as still as a virgin. Oh! I've been discovered. Xiaofan looked ahead. At this moment, swoosh, a sword light flashed in the sky in front of Xiaofan. This sword light didn't seem very austere or sharp, but it was grand, brilliant, and just, and had a kind of concept of the great Tao. Moreover, this sword light was infinitely mysterious. In a breath, it actually divided into two into four into 8, and a total of 1,000 sword lights, thin and dense, refined into threads. When the 1,000 sword lights trembled, they made a sound like the sword roar. In the blink of an eye, these 1,000 rays of sword light seemed to possess intelligence. They were like 1,000 world-shaking sword cultivators that tore through the sky, and sliced through the ages. Just a slight slash caused dense cracks to appear on the spatial crystal barrier like a spiderweb. The sword intent flashed all over the sky, cutting through the void. It was extremely powerful. Just this single sword strike vividly displayed the profundities of the sword Tao, and it revealed the secrets of the supreme ancient sword Tao that weren't passed down to others. Oh! It's him. This time, he entered the second round of the Devil Hero ranking competition, a senior Devil Hero. On the Devil Hero ranking list, he ranked 1788th, the Thousand-Sword Gentleman. He is a master of the sword and has been immersed in sword Taoism for countless years. With a sharp sword in his hand, he has killed countless demons. He's a meritorious hero, no small matter. Xiaofan immediately understood. He looked around and saw that the weeds, trees, and flowers in all directions seemed to have been endowed with sword chi and sword will. They were making hissing sounds as if they were about to shoot at him. Using all things as swords, this is the middle stage sword intent. At this time, Xiaofan stopped chasing after the 10,000 beast-devouring formation. Instead, he stopped in his tracks as if he was facing a great enemy. He was not afraid that the 10,000 beast-devouring formation would fly away. After all, it was Xiaofan's own cultivation technique. Their hearts and minds were connected, and his mind would always be able to sense it. There would not be any mishaps. Pooh, in the sky, a white cloud was slashed apart by the sword energy, and a black-clothed man walked out. He had a sword on his back, and his eyes were completely white. As he walked in the air, it was as if his body was a peerless sword. As he walked, the walls of space were directly cut open. This was the ancient supreme way of the sword, a secret that was not passed down. The sword fused with the body fused with the path, the Tao fused with the heavens, and the heavens fused with fate. Xiao 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 xiao, the thousands of sword lights in the sky merged with his body, making him look even taller. It was as if an ancient sword god had descended. The Thousand Sword Gentleman. Xiaofan. The Thousand Sword Gentleman floated in the air and looked down at Xiaofan. Oh. Thousand Sword Gentleman, hello, hello. I didn't expect to meet you here. Xiaofan smiled. After facing off against an ancient giant, Xiaofan's entire state of mind had changed. Now, even when facing a demon hero like the Thousand Sword Gentleman, whose name could shake mountains and rivers, he could completely remain calm and indifferent, his heart as calm as still water. Oh. The Thousand Swords Gentleman was also surprised by Xiaofan's calmness. This bearing. TSK, as expected of the most popular young swordsman recently. This calm state of mind has already far surpassed the swordsmen of the same age. It's not even inferior to some of the more experienced swordsmen. No wonder the higher-ups of the Demon Hero Tower broke the rules and let you fight for this ranking. I have to say, I'm a bit appreciative of your talent now. You're a peerless genius, a fine material, and a fine jade. As long as there's no accident, you'll definitely be an all-powerful character in the future. After a pause, the Thousand Sword Gentleman's aura suddenly became fierce. Rays of sword chi pierced out from every pore of his body. The sound of sword whistling resounded in all directions, as if countless believers of the sword god were praising and singing. However, Xiaofan, you're still too young. How about this, give me the jade token and leave the giant whale island. I don't want to hurt you. Oh. Hearing this, Xiaofan was stunned. You don't want to hurt me? Ha 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 ha. Thousand Sword Gentleman, you're ranked high on the Demon Hero ranking list. You can be considered as my senior. I also respect you. However, it's unreasonable for me to give you the jade token without a fight. Ha ha ha, I haven't had a good fight since I came back from the great wilderness. Since you've discovered my whereabouts, I have no choice but to fight. Violent battle intent suddenly rose from Xiaofan's body and soared into the sky. 14 million cauldrons of divine power surged like a great river. The indestructible golden body emitted an everlasting crystal light, emitting an almost immortal aura. At the same time, the 93,000 demon veins on the demon god's palm on his left arm were stirring. This physical body. Powerful. It's really powerful. You're able to refine your physical body to such a degree. Your blood chi is so vigorous that it's comparable to the ancient beasts of the great wilderness. Xiaofan, you must have had a heaven-shaking fortuitous encounter and consumed some heaven-defying precious medicine. However, if you want to fight against me with your physical body, you're taking it too lightly. The Thousand Sword Gentleman straightened his body and sword chi went berserk. All of a sudden, with his body as the center, a collapsing void was formed. The air in all directions was minced by the sword chi. It was chaotic and fell towards the center of the collapsing void. Xiaofan, let me teach you a good lesson. A fortuitous encounter is a fortuitous encounter, a foundation is a foundation, and a realm is a realm. You must never mix them together. You have a fortuitous encounter and are blessed by the heavens. That's true. However, your realm is too low. Remember, brute force will never be able to defeat Jinchi. Right now, you've almost cultivated yourself into an invincible treasure. You're a savage beast in human form. Ordinary Xinqi realm cultivators will definitely not be your match. However, if you meet a demon knight like me, your divine strength will not be of any use. You've gone astray. Look at your Xinqi cultivation. You haven't even reached the expanded acupoint realm. It's not worth mentioning. If you continue to put the cart before the horse, you'll be crippled from now on. Alright, don't even think about fighting me. Don't make a mistake. I'm warning you one last time. Hand over the jade token and leave Giant Whale Island. My original intention was not to hurt you. Don't push your luck. Stop blabbering. You're actually lecturing me? Who do you think you are? After being scolded by the thousand-sword gentleman, Xiaofan was enraged and roared in the air. You're not even an ancient giant. You've only expanded your acupoint once. Your Xinqi hasn't even reached the true manifestation talisman yet. You're nothing. Now, you're acting like a king and criticizing me. What a joke. I, Xiaofan, even dare to fight with the Azure Dragon Demon Emperor. No matter how powerful you are, can you be more powerful than the Azure Dragon Demon Emperor? You want to snatch my jade token? Fine, I'll snatch it back. Hand over the jade token and get lost from Giant Whale Island. Xiaofan's body moved, and he slammed his palm toward the thousand-sword gentleman. He struck without hesitation, swift and decisive. Xiaofan's palm contained 14 million cauldrons of divine strength. When he struck out, the force was so powerful that it could break through any illusion and go straight for the heart. As the palm slammed down, it was as if the sky had collapsed. The heaven and earth shook and the sound of the stars disintegrating could be heard incessantly. A large area of space collapsed inch by inch under Xiaofan's palm. The force of the palm spread out like a hot knife through butter. You're really stubborn. No one will believe that the Azure Dragon Demon Emperor was killed by you in a direct confrontation. Don't try to bluff in front of me. Since that's the case, I'll teach you a lesson. I'll let you know the immensity of heaven and earth from now on. It's just brute force. Break it. Kill with one thought. Boom, a ray of sword light shot out from the thousand-sword gentleman's body. This ray of sword light contained an immortal sword intent. In a split second, the sword light split into 1,000 swords. Each sword was sharper and faster than the previous one. Each sword contained the arc of the Great Tao. It stabbed continuously like a dazzling galaxy that rushed to the 9 heavens. In the midst of its grandeur, there was lingering sword intent that could destroy the ages. Pft! 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 The 1,000 rays of sword light intertwined and directly dismembered the 14 million cauldrons of power contained in Xiaofan's palm. It was like a butcher dismembering an ox. Oh! As expected of an experienced demon warrior. This palm of mine is the condensation of my life's power, but it was so easily dispelled by him. This person's use of swordsmanship is really amazing. Xiaofan's power was dispelled by the thousand-sword gentleman. However, not only did he not panic, but he also felt a sense of satisfaction. A battle of this level is interesting enough. Only then can I accumulate enough power before I expand my meridians. Ha ha ha. Awesome. Suddenly, a demonic light flashed on Xiaofan's left arm. Suddenly, an extremely evil demonic aura descended from the sky and shrouded the surroundings. An ancient demonic talisman came down from the sky. It enveloped the thousand-sword gentleman. With the thousand-sword gentleman's body as the center, a large area of space was imprisoned. Sky Demon God Seal. Xiaofan used the demonic power contained in his 30,000 demonic meridians to unleash a Sky Demon God Seal, sealing the thousand-sword gentleman's life force. At the same time, Xiaofan quickly took out a few heavenly desolate demonic fruits from his storage ring. He let his left monarch demon arm devour them to quickly replenish the demonic power that had been lost. Do you think my trump card is just the power of my flesh? Xiaofan moved again, wanting to cripple the thousand-sword gentleman while he was sealed. However, pfft! A supreme sword intent shot up from the top of the thousand-sword gentleman's head. This sword intent had already touched the threshold of the great accomplishment sword intent. It could cut through the void and destroy gods and ghosts. It had the power to destroy all things. Boom! The demonic talisman that enveloped the thousand-sword gentleman was shattered by this sword intent. The heavenly demon investiture had been broken. Oh! Impressive! Even the sky demon god seal that I unleashed using the demonic power contained in my 30,000 demonic meridians was broken. Looks like when the heavenly devil investiture is facing a true powerhouse, it might not always be effective. Xiaofan was shocked. Demonic technique? Xiaofan, you've actually cultivated an extremely advanced demonic technique? What is this move? It contains the power of a seal. You want to imprison me? But it's useless. I've cultivated an ancient secret sword technique. There's nothing I can't break. What can a mere demonic technique do to me? Also, Xiaofan, as an experienced evil hero, let me remind you that as an evil hero, you should be righteous. Using demonic techniques is not something honorable. It's only tarnishing the reputation of us evil heroes. Since you've even used demonic techniques, I have to punish you even more. Suffer a little now and learn to restrain yourself. Otherwise, it'll be too late for regrets in the future. The thousand-sword gentleman seemed to be truly enraged. Moreover, there seemed to be some kind of determination in his eyes. His entire body's aura was like the mountains and the seas. It suddenly exploded, and a total of 60 halos of true energy exploded from his body. They were as dazzling as the sea. Each of these 60 halos of light was as deep as the universe, and there were faint runes appearing within them. These were the 60 acupoints of the thousand-sword gentleman. Xiaofan. Lose! The thousand-sword gentleman roared. His sword chi was like a dragon, and another 1,000 sword rays slashed towards Xiaofan. However, among these 1,000 sword rays, the 1,001st sword ray suddenly appeared. This 1,001st sword ray should not have existed. It was a sword that had escaped, but the thousand-sword gentleman had killed it. This sword ray was the thousand-sword gentleman's trump card. He was prepared to use this sword ray to establish his reputation in the 10-year sacred war a few years later and sweep away all heroes. He would not use this sword ray lightly. However, facing Xiaofan today was indeed a headache for him. He had never expected Xiaofan to be so cunning. Not only did he have a strong physical strength, but he was also skilled in demonic techniques and had rich battle experience. He had no choice but to use his strongest sword ray to deal with Xiaofan. No one could describe the ethereal and formless nature of this sword ray. No one could describe the nimbleness and nothingness of this sword ray. This was a stroke of genius, a sure-kill sword ray. Xiaofan, you can't dodge this sword ray. However, with an ancient giant watching over us, I will not allow you to die. However, injuries are inevitable. In the future, you should think about this sword ray more. Know that there is always someone better than you, so don't be so arrogant. The thousand-sword gentleman said proudly. Pucci, the 1,001st sword ray cut Xiaofan's body into pieces. Huh! The thousand-sword gentleman suddenly stopped. An afterimage? Demonic techniques again? Just as the thousand-sword gentleman hesitated for a moment, an ominous feeling arose in his heart. The next moment, boom! Another ancient demonic rune descended from the sky and enveloped the 10 swords gentleman. Sweeping across the world. Suppressing the 9 continents. Xiaofan had drained all the demonic energy contained in 53,000 demonic meridians for this sky demon seal. This time, I don't believe that I can't seal you. Xiaofan's real body appeared behind the thousand-sword gentleman. Boom! 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 The thousand-sword gentleman's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He activated his sword intent, trying to break Xiaofan's seal. However, this time, Xiaofan had used more than double the demonic power of the first sky demon investiture. This made it impossible for the thousand-sword gentleman to break through the seal immediately. Get out of my way! Xiaofan took the opportunity to throw a punch. This punch was accompanied by a dragon and a tiger. It was like a falling meteor, the roar of a demon, and the arrival of a disaster. Bang! The punch landed on the thousand-sword gentleman's body. It let out a terrifying sound that shook the earth and shook the mountains. Thousand Swords Lungjuan's entire body trembled from the attack. Then, his clothes were reduced to ashes. Numerous cracks appeared on his skin, as if he was a broken piece of porcelain. Pa! With another slap, Xiaofan sent Thousand Sword Gentleman's battered body flying. Hee, you're only a so you dare to point at me? Xiaofan sneered. He quickly took out a dozen heavenly desolate demonic fruits to replenish the demonic power on his left arm. Chapter 274. Xiaofan had fought with the Thousand Sword Gentleman, who was ranked 1788th on the monster hero ranking. He had used demonic techniques repeatedly and finally defeated him. However, this battle made Xiaofan feel the power of a veteran monster hero even more deeply. When fighting against an opponent of this level, he could not relax at all. Moreover, if he showed the slightest flaw, he would be taken advantage of and suffer a crushing defeat. To be honest, if I didn't have enough heavenly desolate demon fruits to replenish my demonic power at any time, which is equivalent to having unlimited power to fire, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to defeat this Thousand Sword Gentleman. A veteran monster hero who hasn't even entered the ranks of the ancient giants is already so difficult to deal with. If I encountered a real ancient giant or a talisman transformation expert, it would be hard to say who would win. The Thousand Sword Gentleman's body was almost cracked by Xiaofan. He curled up on the ground, coughing up blood and twitching. Without saying anything, Xiaofan took a step forward and bent down to pick up the Thousand Sword Gentleman's jade tablet that had fallen to the ground. Thousand Sword Gentleman, I'm sorry. Your jade tablet belongs to me, Xiaofan. But don't worry. Although your injuries are not light, there is an ancient giant watching over you. He will be able to heal you as good as new in an instant. I won't keep you company anymore. Goodbye, goodbye. After saying that, Xiaofan's body moved. He crushed the air and disappeared in a few leaps. Xiaofan chased after the 10,000 beast-devouring formation. Not long after Xiaofan left, pure white talisman characters descended from the sky and wrapped around the heavily injured Thousand Sword Gentleman. It caused the shocking wounds on the surface of Thousand Sword Gentleman's skin. They healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Rays of pearl-like luster appeared. They rolled on the surface of Thousand Sword Gentleman's body. The spring wind and rain nourished everything silently, injecting vitality into him. Soon, Thousand Sword Gentleman stood up and looked in the direction where Xiaofan disappeared. He shook his head dejectedly. Forget it, forget it. I, the Thousand Swords Gentleman, have traversed the world unhindered in my life. With a sharp sword in my hand, I have killed countless evil spirits. Who would have thought that I would be defeated by a young man? I'm so bored. I'll withdraw from today's ranking competition so as to avoid humiliation. As soon as he finished speaking, around Thousand Sword Gentleman, layers of ripples appeared in the space. It was the mysterious power of space. It pierced through the heavens and the earth, instantly enveloping the Thousand Sword Gentleman. In the next moment, the Thousand Sword Gentleman disappeared, as if he had been teleported away from this giant whale island. He gave up on cultivating his true chi and focused on cultivating his flesh shell. In addition, he is proficient in a few demonic techniques. His demonic strength is not inferior to ordinary high-level demon sovereigns. What kind of path is he taking? It's not bad to take a different path, but isn't it a little off track? I can't see through him. I can't see through him. The voice of the ancient giant resounded in the air. But soon, the voice came to an abrupt stop, and the world fell silent. How fierce! Lu Weiniang's peerless and elegant figure appeared behind a small mountain. She frowned and thought to herself. I can't believe you actually managed to break the 1,000-sword gentleman. Behind a small mountain, water vapor rose and Lu Weiniang's peerless figure appeared. What a strange demonic technique. It's really hard to believe that a human would be able to cultivate demonic techniques to such a high degree of mastery. I might not be a match for him. Let's hide first and observe the situation. Someone is coming. As soon as she finished speaking, ripples appeared on Lu Weiniang's jade-like body, and she disappeared in an instant. Boom! A scorching sun fell from 10,000 meters in the sky. The sun shone brightly, and the ancient divine light bloomed. The great Sun Emperor had arrived. The great Son of Heaven narrowed his eyes, as if he was concentrating on sensing his surroundings. When he opened his eyes, in the depths of his eyes, a powerful spirit storm mixed with the true fire of the sun engulfed the area. Puchi! Puchi! This spiritual storm was like a volcanic eruption, boiling magma. It shot across the space, carving marks on the crystal wall of the space. Smoke filled the air, as if it was going to tear the space into pieces and melt it. Treacherous tricks. A demonic technique. Everyone has the right to punish him. However, he actually defeated the 1,000-sword gentleman. I didn't expect that a little ant in the past would grow to such an extent. The great Sun Emperor was a great figure who had expanded his acupoints 10 times. He was only one step away from the talisman transformation realm. As soon as he arrived, he deduced a little and knew that the 1,000-sword gentleman was defeated. In this space, the remnant sword intent was very gloomy, indicating the crushing defeat of the 1,000-sword gentleman. Moreover, in this space, there was a faint demonic aura. It even made the great Sun Emperor feel that someone had used demonic techniques. With just a slight thought, the Emperor of the Sun pretty much reconstructed the battle that happened just now in his mind. It was Xiaofan who defeated the 1,000-sword gentleman. He used demonic techniques to suppress the sword intent of the 1,000-sword gentleman. Moreover, he used violence to crush the sword chi. Right now, the great Sun Emperor's eyes had a hint of seriousness. He stood still and did not immediately chase after Xiaofan. The ant has grown into an elephant. I don't dare to say that I will be able to trample on him. I, the great Sun Emperor, must not fail miserably and fall in the hands of such an insignificant person. Otherwise, I will have a demon in my heart. At the crucial moment when I am breaking through to the talisman transformation realm, it will be very disadvantageous. The great Sun Emperor carefully weighed the pros and cons. Xiaofan was able to defeat the 1,000-sword gentleman alone. This caused the great Sun Emperor to look up to Xiaofan. In terms of realm, the great Sun Emperor and the 1,000-sword gentleman were similar. They both had expanded their meridians 10 times. In terms of multiplier, the great Sun Emperor was superior to the 1,000-sword gentleman. In terms of cultivation technique, the great Sun Emperor was also 1 or 2 levels higher than the 1,000-sword gentleman. Therefore, defeating the 1,000-sword gentleman was not a difficult task for the great Sun Emperor. However, he could defeat the 1,000-sword gentleman. Now, Xiaofan could also defeat him. If he were to face Xiaofan alone, even though he was arrogant and proud, it would be hard to say that he could defeat Xiaofan. If there were any mishaps, it would be very disadvantageous to the future development of the great Sun Emperor. For a proud person like him, if he were to lose to a young man, he would not be able to forgive himself. The more profound impact would be that from now on, his cultivation would be stagnant and he would never be able to reach the talisman transformation realm. Do you want me to let Xiaofan go? That is impossible. The corner of the great Sun Emperor's mouth revealed a sinister smile. Moreover, I cannot let him continue to grow like this. I must take this opportunity. I must kill him. Then let him grow. He might be the second Xiao Mingchu of the Pure Rain sect. When that time comes, I will not be able to deal with him. At this moment, the great Sun Emperor raised his eyebrows and looked towards the sky. He said calmly, Seven Night Devil Lord, since you are here, stop hiding and show yourself. Ha ha ha. Great Sun Emperor. You also noticed that there was an intense battle here. However, why didn't you chase after them? What are you doing here? Ha ha ha. Don't tell me you are afraid of something. An incomparably arrogant voice rang out. Boom! A heaven-shaking demonic aura descended from the sky. Like a beacon, it rolled in all directions and pierced through the heavens and the earth. In the end, it stood tall like a heavenly pillar. The Seven-Night Devil Lord walked out from the demonic aura with his hands behind his back. The demonic aura was dense and the aura of a monarch looked down on the world. With the Seven-Night Devil Lord as the center. It actually formed a collapsed void. Endless air was chaotic and fell towards the center of the collapse. Although we are all proud people, we have to admit the difference between the Talisman Transformation Realm and the expanded Acupoint Realm. Yingzhantian had already reached the Talisman Transformation Realm 20 years ago. In addition, he has the battle experience of killing a variant demon emperor alone. To be honest, in a one-on-one fight, the four of us are not Yingzhantian's match. Great Sun Emperor, what are you trying to say? Tang Shan was getting impatient. Alright, I'll get straight to the point. With Yingzhantian around, if nothing goes wrong, the few of us will not be able to win the ranking competition. However, nothing is absolute in this world. How about this, the four of us will work together to get rid of Xiaofan and snatch the 2 jade tokens from him. After that, I, the great Sun Emperor, will give you my own jade token. That way, we will have 3 jade tokens. The great Sun Emperor's eyes were sharp. Although none of us are Yingzhantian's match in a one-on-one fight, if we work together, the situation will be different. If we work together to defeat Yingzhantian, we will have 4 jade tokens. Then, we will work together to find Lu Weining and defeat her, and we will have 5 jade tokens. How about the 3 of you fight for the 5 jade tokens? In that case, one of the 3 of you will definitely win and obtain the final ranking. Oh. Zhuge Xing, Tang Shan, and the Seven-Night Devil Lord looked at each other with interest. Why? Great Sun Emperor, you are actually withdrawing? Zhuge Xing was confused. Yes, I am withdrawing. The Great Sun Emperor laughed. Withdrawing as long as I am not defeated will not affect my mental state and will not leave a shadow in my heart. Moreover, you all know that I, the Grand Sun, am a formidable opponent for you. If we really fight, among the 3 of you, the chances of Zhuge Xing and Tang Shan defeating me are very small. Only you, the 7th Night Devil Lord, have a chance against me. However, defeating me won't be that easy. You'll have to pay a painful price. Now, I am withdrawing. This is a great thing for you guys. The Great Sun Emperor's tone was extremely arrogant. However, it was undeniable that he was speaking the truth. The Great Sun Emperor continued. My request is simple. The 3 of you, work together with me to hunt down Xiaofan. Xiaofan has an irreconcilable feud with me. I will definitely capture him alive and torture him to vent my hatred. Oh. I understand. Zhuge Xing came to a realization. Brother Great Sun, so you are asking for our help because you are not 100% confident in defeating Xiaofan. Humph. Even if you guys don't help me to deal with Xiaofan, you guys will still attack him in order to snatch the 2 jade tokens from him. It is just a small favor. What do you guys say now? The Great Sun Emperor sneered. Deal. Tang Shan was the first to nod. Ha ha ha. Good, good. Brother great son, why should I not do such a small favor? Not only will we be able to force brother great son to voluntarily withdraw, we will also be able to form an alliance to fight against Ingzhantian. Good, very good. Killing two birds with one stone. Deal. Zhuge Xing also nodded with a smile. Ha ha ha. Great Sun Emperor, I didn't expect you to have no confidence in dealing with a small rookie. What a joke. However, on account of our many years of friendship, I will help you deal with this Xiaofan and torture him to death. Ha ha ha. The seven-night devil lord also agreed to the Great Sun Emperor's plan. Good. It's a deal. All of you help me to deal with Xiaofan. Today, I will beat him to death. The Great Sun Emperor laughed sinisterly. Let's go. Chase after him. Xiaofan sprinted madly. The 10,000 beast-devouring grand formation still did not stop. It continued to fly towards the west of the island. Moreover, its speed was getting faster and faster, as if it could feel the call of some mysterious object. Soon. Soon. I also feel that the 10,000 beast-devouring grand formation is about to find the source. Is it the heart of the giant whale? Xiaohan's heart was filled with anticipation. The blood in his body was boiling. However, at this moment... Xiaofan stopped in his tracks. Boom, 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 north, south, east, west, 4 waves of true qi as strong as the ocean broke through the air. Killing intent soared to the sky. It actually formed a pincer attack on Xiaofan. Alright, Xiaofan, Heaven's Net has a long way to go. There will finally be a day when you fall into the hands of I, the Great Sun Emperor. Last time, you were lucky. Xiao Mingchu saved you once. But this time, I want to see who can save you. You beat my beloved disciple, Crown Prince Huolai, to death. Today, I will make you beg for death. A voice filled with deep resentment roared and exploded, shaking the heavens and earth. 4 waves of true qi had already surrounded Xiaofan. Not even a drop of water could escape. To be continued. Chapter 275. Xiaofan stopped in his tracks and did not move an inch. He allowed the 4 waves of true qi to surround him. Heh, the Great Sun Emperor is finally here. They must have sensed my battle with the 1,000-sword gentleman. There are actually 4 people surrounding me. Xiaohan's heart was as calm as still water. His lips even curled into a strange smile. One must know that each of the 4 waves of true qi was no weaker than the 1,000-sword gentleman's aura. In other words, these people were all at the peak of the expanded acupoint realm and had expanded their acupoints 10 times. Surprisingly, Xiaofan did not panic in the face of these 4 opponents. Furthermore, his entire brain became crystal clear. Within his mind, a bright light shone. His life's potential was stimulated to the maximum. His entire person was like a clear sky. His state of mind was untainted, neither servile nor overbearing, without worry or fear. Under such circumstances, Xiaohan's willpower began to sublimate again. His mental state underwent a metamorphosis, gaining an indescribable accumulation. This kind of accumulation could allow Xiaofan to break out of his cocoon and become a butterfly. It was crucial for him to break through to the expanded acupoint realm. Finally, right in front of Xiaofan, a blazing sun slowly rose, and in the middle of the blazing sun, there was a great god. His eyes were closed, and his hands were forming seals, brewing a terrifying majesty and power. The sun shone brightly and holy songs resounded. In every ray of sunlight, one could see all living beings praying and worshipping. Under this blazing sun, a human figure walked about. He was imposing and unmatched, his aura devouring the 9 provinces. It was the Great Sun Emperor. As he walked, bright and beautiful sunlight sprinkled down incessantly. Every time the sunlight sprinkled down, the sky would shatter. Brilliant colors filled the air, and strange phenomena appeared. It was like a scene of music falling from the sky. Xiaofan, you won't be able to escape today, right? Furthermore, on this giant whale island, there are only the few of us participants and the ancient giants. The ancient giants will definitely not interfere in this matter. They will not break the rules of the competition for you. As a result, you've completely become a prisoner. How does this feel? The hatred between you and I is as deep as the sea. It will be difficult to let this matter rest. Today, you have fallen in the hands of the great Sun Emperor. I, the great Son of Heaven, am ranked 1701 on the Monster Hero ranking. You will die a worthy death if I personally deal with a rookie like you. However, don't blame me for bullying you. You deserve to die. The Emperor of the Great Sun looked at Xiaofan coldly and spoke with assurance. It was as though he had already grasped Xiaofan completely, causing him to be unable to resist. Xiaofan remained silent. Hong long long, behind Xiaofan, a series of explosions occurred in the air, and within those explosions, a person appeared. He wore a black robe and had long hair. Every single cell in his body contained intense lightning, and his eyes flickered with electricity. Just the slightest movement of his body would cause thunderclaps to rumble out, causing the entire area to be filled with the smell of thunder and lightning tearing through the sky. Number 1799th on the monster ranking, Tang Shan. Tang Shan strode forward majestically. Xiaofan, you're actually proficient in all sorts of demonic techniques. In that case, it's fine. Today, us demonic heroes will be joining forces to attack a demonic emperor. Number 1811th on the monster ranking, Zhuge Xing. Zhuge Xing walked out from Xiaofan's left. His robes fluttered in the wind, and waves of wild true qi emanated from his body. Azure dragon rises from the abyss, white tiger leaves the cauldron. Dragon roar, tiger roar. Moreover, his entire aura seemed to be very compatible with the earth. Obviously, the true qi that he cultivated should be of the earth attribute, and it was very dense. Number 1700 on the monster ranking, Devil Lord 7 Knights. That Devil Lord 7 Knights walked out from Xiaofan's right. He cultivated demonic techniques, and his entire body emitted a monstrous demonic aura. His strength was extremely terrifying. This Devil Lord 7 Knights demonic technique could easily seep into a person's brain and affect their thoughts, causing illusions in their minds. They would see a black demonic sun that completely covered the sky and the sun, and the earth was plunged into boundless darkness. It was extremely powerful. The 4 veteran demonic heroes each took their positions and surrounded Xiaofan. They were all experienced in battle, and had participated in many battles against demonic emperors. Looking at the current situation, it really looked like they were going to surround and kill a demonic emperor. They attacked and defended, advancing and retreating, and had formed a kind of tacit understanding. This caused their combat power to increase exponentially. Seriously speaking, if the 4 of them joined forces, even Demon Emperor Qing Lin at his peak would probably die with a grievance. Moreover, it was very likely that he would not be able to escape and could only be killed. After the 4 veteran demonic heroes took their positions, they all looked at Xiaofan with teasing eyes, as if they were cats toying with a mouse. Heh! Xiaofan, until now, you are still so calm and composed. To be honest, I, Zhuge Xing, have seen countless people, but I have never seen such a talented young man like you. Moreover, at such a young age, you were able to defeat 1,000 sword gentlemen. This is really impressive. Zhuge Xing smiled at Xiaofan. I am a little jealous of talent now. However, you have offended Brother Great Sunday. This is young and frivolous. You have offended some people that you should not have offended. If you did not offend brother great son, your future would really be limitless. What a pity, what a pity. Why did you have to do this? Zhuge Xing's tone sounded like a crocodile who was crying for help. Xiaofan smiled and said, Zhuge Xing? Ha ha ha, what a joke. You said that I am talented and my future is limitless. Then, you should not be helping the wicked and helping Emperor Great Sun to deal with me. Aren't you afraid that I will make things difficult for you and deal with you in the future? Ha ha ha. You all know that I am not allowed to kill me with the help of the eternal giants. As long as I am not dead, it is not difficult to deal with all of you one by one when I get out. Xiaohan's eyes were also filled with interest. Heh. Yes, Xiaofan. You are right. It is impossible for us to kill you today. I heard that the higher-ups of the demonic hero pagoda think highly of you. The eternal giants will definitely not sit by and let us kill you. However, even if you do not die today, you will shed a few layers of skin. After being repeatedly ravaged by us, you will be half dead. In the future, when you get out, your talent will be wiped out and a terrible shadow will be left in your heart. The devil in your heart will be reborn, and you will become a mediocre person from a genius. Why should I, Zhuge Xing, worry about a mediocre person plotting revenge against me? Ha ha ha, Xiaofan, I, Zhuge Xing, have always been meticulous in my calculations. I have already thought through all the details. That is why I agreed to help brother Great Sun to deal with you. Ha ha ha. Xiaofan, if the four of us attack at the same time and use our strongest attacks and ultimate techniques, we might be able to kill you before the eternal giants make their move. If we kill you, the higher-ups will at most reprimand us. Do you think they will let us, who have expanded our acupoints 10 times, die for you? Ha 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 ha. The 7 Night Devil Lord's eyes were filled with killing intent. Great Sun Emperor, how do you want to deal with him? Tang Shan asked. Ruthlessly torture him. Ravage him to your heart's content. The Great Sun Emperor's face showed an extremely ferocious expression. Behind a mountain not far away from here, Lu Weiniang's figure appeared with her brows tightly knitted. Great Sun Emperor and the 7 Night Devil Lord are really shameless. They are already so old and yet they joined forces to deal with a young man. How infuriating. If this matter were to spread out, everyone would curse them. But, what should I do now? Xiaofan is in danger. I also have no way to save him. I can only hope that the eternal giants can act in time to prevent Xiaofan from being killed. Moreover, I also hope that after Xiaofan goes out, there will not be a gap in his heart and soul because of this matter. Sigh. Lu Weiniang was also very anxious. Giant Whale Island. At the peak of the 10,000 Zhang Godly Mountain, the eternal giant sat cross-legged, controlling the entire situation. Numerous talismans circled around his body, and a mysterious power rippled from his body. With him as the center, the chi of heaven and earth began to revolve at a steady pace, as if it had formed a huge whirlpool that was going to devour all existences that disrespected the power of heaven. At this moment, the eternal giant could not help but exclaim. Not good. Young Xiaofan is actually surrounded by 4 demon heroes. How shameless. How shameless. The 4 famous demon heroes joined forces, not to deal with Yingzhan Tian, but to deal with the young man Xiaofan. Xiaofan was a young man with an invincible will and an excellent physique. In the future, he would definitely become a great talent. However, he never thought that he would be ganged up on by 4 shameless fellows. This time, he had nowhere to run, and he didn't even have the slightest chance of winning. Terrible. What should I do? According to the rules, I absolutely cannot interfere in their competition. Moreover, the 4 of them did not break the rules of the competition, so I have no reason to interfere. The eternal giant was now in a terrible situation. He stood up and paced back and forth. This is bad, this is bad. Xiaofan actually has such a hurdle in his life. How should he deal with it? Don't tell me that I'm going to be toyed with like this, toyed with in the palms of others. You senior demon heroes are really shameless. However, a situation like this where 4 senior demon heroes ganged up on a rookie is probably a rare occurrence in the entire demon hero world. I don't know if I, Xiaofan, am lucky or unlucky. However, as long as I can defeat you all, I will have accumulated an unimaginable amount of strength, which will bring me great benefits when I try to break through to the expanding aperture realm. Suddenly, Xiaofan's eyes burned with a crazy battle intent. The 93,000 demon meridians in his left demon emperor palm began to circulate, and a huge amount of demon power began to be transferred to the azure dragon demon emperor crystal. Ridiculous. Xiaofan, someone once said that you don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Today, I have seen it with my own eyes, and it is indeed so. Do you think that you have any chance to resist or struggle against the 4 of us? Even if you can defeat the 1,000-sword gentleman in a one-on-one battle, you will definitely not be able to fight against the 4 of us. Tang Shan sneered. You've lost your mind. At this moment. Azure Dragon Demon Emperor Ultimate Profound. Azure Dragon Possession. All of you, go to hell. Roar. Xiaofan's left arm flashed with demonic light, and all the demonic power contained in his 93,000 demonic meridians were injected into the Azure Dragon Demon Emperor crystal, directly triggering the Azure Dragon's possession. This technique could transform Xiaofan's entire body into a dragon. Within a certain period of time, his physical body would transform into the body of the immemorial Azure Dragon. This was also the first time Xiaofan used this domineering demonic technique. Boom! An amber-colored, beautiful, and flawless demon emperor crystal shone on Xiaofan's left arm. It was like the most gorgeous gem in the world. In the amber-colored demon emperor crystal, there was a ferocious, evil, and murderous azure dragon sealed. Every scale of the azure dragon was covered with demonic and evil demon clan runes, and there seemed to be countless demon clan members praying and chanting. Boom! All of a sudden, the ferocious azure dragon sealed in the demon emperor crystal was forcibly squeezed out and merged into Xiaofan's body. 2 became 1. In an instant, a monstrous demonic aura was emitted from Xiaofan's body, mixed with the roar of the immemorial dragon. The sky and the sun were completely covered by the demonic aura, and heaven and earth seemed to have fallen into a boundless, despairing darkness. Roar! Xiaofan's body convulsed, and the crazy power was generated like a landslide and a tsunami. It caused Xiaofan's aura to rise continuously, and there was no end to it. Inside Xiaofan's body, there was also a huge upheaval. Streams of immemorial energy were burning, purifying, filling, and roaring, causing every meridian in Xiaofan's body to be like a giant dragon. The next moment, puff! 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 On the surface of Xiaofan's skin, pieces of dazzling azure dragon scales appeared. His body began to grow taller. 1 foot. 2 feet. 3 feet. 10 feet. 15 feet. 20 feet. 300 feet. 500 feet. Xiaofan's head turned into a dragon's head. His entire body was covered with azure dragon scales. With a poof, a azure dragon tail also lashed out. In an instant, the majestic aura of the immemorial desolation completely erupted, sweeping across the heaven and earth. Dragon roars resounded. Finally, Xiaofan's entire body transformed into an immemorial azure dragon. A azure dragon that was 100 feet long coiled in the sky. This azure dragon's body was like a long snake, with the head of a qilin and the tail of a carp. It had a long beard, horns like that of a deer, 5 claws, and a majestic appearance. It was obvious that it had the terrifying power of an ancient remnant beast. An extremely dangerous aura filled the entire heaven and earth. This aura was incomparably evil, emitting a ferocious murderous aura. At the same time, it was high and mighty, representing nobility, looking down on everything, disregarding all life, and having a majesty that was above all other living beings. Power. This is the power of the immemorial azure dragon. This is great. I have never had this kind of power before. The current me seems to have a wonderful feeling of dominating everything, tearing everything apart. Ha ha ha. I will crush all of you. Xiaofan's voice became muffled, reverberating between the heaven and earth. The great son of heaven, the seven-night devil young master, Tang Shan, and Zhuge Xing were all dumbfounded. They were horrified, and gurgling sounds could be heard from their throats. It was as if an invisible hand was squeezing their throats. Dragon. This is the immemorial azure dragon. The real immemorial azure dragon. The great Sun Emperor let out a voice that sounded as if he was about to collapse. Chapter 276. Xiaofan finally used his trump card, the ultimate killing technique, a secret technique of the demon clan sealed in the Green Dragon Demon Emperor crystal. Green Dragon Possession. This was originally the secret technique that the Green Dragon Demon Emperor used to dominate the world. Countless experienced demons had died in the hands of this demonic technique. But now, this demonic technique had become Xiaofan's exclusive secret technique and he was using it for the first time. This was also the biggest reason why Xiaofan was able to remain calm when he was surrounded by the Great Sun Emperor and the other three. This was Xiaofan's trump card. Now that Xiaofan's physical body had been transformed into the immemorial Green Dragon, the power of a single strike was more than 50 million ding. If he were to fight with all his might, he could even strike out a destructive 80 million ding. Furthermore, his entire body was covered with dragon scales and his defense was insane. He was basically immortal and indestructible. However, the only flaw was that Xiaofan's physical body had been transformed into the immemorial Green Dragon's physique and obtained power. This state could only be maintained for 10 breaths of time. After 10 breaths of time, not only would he return to his original form, his qi and blood would also be exhausted and he would collapse. Ah! This is the Green Dragon Demon Emperor's natal demonic technique. This is the Green Dragon Demon Emperor's natal demonic technique. Xiaofan, why do you know this demonic technique? This is almost impossible. Zhuge Xing let out a cry of despair. Xiaofan, you killed the Green Dragon Demon Emperor. Could it be that every time you kill a demon emperor, you can obtain their demonic technique? Unbelievable. Who the hell are you? Tang Shan wailed in a daze. Great Sun Emperor, we've been tricked by you. The seven-night devil lord was so angry that his eyes were about to pop out. Rumble. Rumble. Under the pressure of the azure dragon's aura, the entire space seemed to have shrunk. Cracks could be seen everywhere in the gray space, and countless air currents were rampaging and collapsing. Even the light rays were distorted, and the pressure was so great that Son of Heaven and the other three could not move at all. Alright, it's all over. All of you shall die. The transformation could only last for 10 breaths of time. It wasn't long, but it wasn't short either. Xiaofan didn't want to waste any more time. With a wave of his right claw, he struck towards the Great Sun Emperor. This dragon claw was a violent strike with a strength of over 50 million cauldrons. There weren't any fancy transformations to it as it struck straight at the Great Sun Emperor. This was an attack that could destroy the ages. The power contained within it was indescribable. It could definitely destroy mountains and rivers, kill ghosts and deities, explode continents, shake the sun and moon, and sweep through the starry sky. The space crystal walls shattered like glass, and countless black holes appeared in the air. The roars of the primordial azure dragon could be vaguely heard from each black hole. The greater the power, the faster the attack speed. This attack was something that Great Sun Son of Heaven could not dodge at all. Ah! An ominous feeling of collapse deeply engulfed the Great Sun Emperor, causing him to let out a roar of agony like a beast on the brink of death. His entire body was covered by the blazing sunlight, and the sun above his head also covered his body in an instant. The god in the sun opened his eyes and chanted. A giant hand surrounded by sunlight also reached out. Pooh! The dragon claw and the endless sunlight finally collided together. In a breath's time. Poochie! 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 All the sunlight exploded and evaporated. That scorching sun, including the deity within it, everything was turned into dust. Furthermore, all the bones in the Great Sun Emperor's body exploded. He was thrown backwards, and the sound of explosions could be heard from his body. Mushroom clouds rose up from his broken body. Just like that, Xiaofan had destroyed the Great Sun Emperor. He had beaten the Great Sun Emperor to a state where his life was worse than death. But very quickly, a river of jade liquid gushed out from the unseen world. This river of jade liquid was filled with countless runes, wrapping around the remnant body of Emperor Great Sun and nourishing it non-stop. At the same time, the power of space trembled and teleported Emperor Great Sun out of this place. Oh! The ancient giant has made his move? Xiaofan was slightly stunned. It seems like the ancient giant will not allow any of the participants to die. But it doesn't matter. The Great Sun Emperor has been crippled by me just now. Even if he doesn't die, his vitality will be greatly damaged after he goes out. He will need a long time to recover. It will be very difficult for him to break through to the talisman transformation realm. Ha ha ha. Without hesitation, Xiaofan moved his right claw and covered Tang Shan again. This palm was like swatting a fly, but the power was enough to destroy a place. Everywhere it went, the sky collapsed, the surroundings turned into chaos, and a large amount of space was evaporated. Poochie! Tang Shan was flattened into a meat patty with a single palm strike. Sigh. Beaten so badly. It will take a lot of this seat's energy to heal. Sigh. The ancient giant's voice reverberated in the dark. There was no sadness or happiness in his voice, but he did not stop Xiaofan's violence. Instead, he quickly released a talisman storm and swept Tang Shan's broken body away. Kill. Kill him. This person has fallen into the demon Dao. Kill. The young devil lord of the Seven Knights was so frightened that he wanted to die. He was completely hysterical. All of a sudden, his entire body ignited with devilish flames. He didn't hesitate to burn his own potential and lifespan to erupt with a killing blow. Every pore on his body displayed the strongest devilish art. His hands were like devilish dragons that grabbed at Xiaofan. Die! Xiaofan opened his left and right claws and slapped towards the middle. It was as if he was slapping his palms. In an instant, the Seven-Knight Devil Lord was smashed into pieces. Poochie! The Seven-Knight Devil Lord was smashed into pieces. This one can't be saved. He's been smashed into pieces. He's completely killed by you. The ancient giant was very helpless. Xiaofan did not care so much. Within 10 breaths, he would crush them to his heart's content. Dead or alive. In the end, there was only Zhuge Xing left. At that moment, Zhuge Xing no longer had the demeanor that he used to have when he was in control of the world. He was so scared that he wet his pants and started to cry. No! Xiaofan! Please don't attack me. I was wrong. I shouldn't have joined hands with the Great Sun Emperor to deal with you. I was deceived by his flowery words. Xiaofan, please don't attack me. I'll give you the jade token. When we get out, I'll give you a lot of contribution points. Before he finished speaking, Xiaofan slapped down with his palm and smashed Zhuge Xing into pieces. This caused Zhuge Xing to howl like a pig being slaughtered. It was heart-wrenching. Enough, young man. For opponents have all been crippled by you. I saved 3 of them. The last one was the 7-Night Devil Lord, but he was smashed into pieces by you. It's inevitable that I'll be reprimanded by my superiors when I return. However, they only have themselves to blame. The ancient giant's voice sounded again. Then, the talisman rushed forward and swept away Zhuge Xing's broken body. After knocking back the 4 people, the time limit for Xiaohan's Azure Dragon transformation was up. The 300-meter-long Azure Dragon twitched non-stop in the sky. Waves of ripples wrapped around the Azure Dragon's huge body, and a multicolored light washed over it. At the next moment, Bang Xiaohan transformed from the Azure Dragon back to his human form. He fell from the sky and smashed a pit on the ground. He was motionless. The battle ended in a short period of time, causing the space to return to peace. Just now, the reason why Xiaohan was able to crush the 4 veteran heroes in such a dominating manner was partly because of his sudden transformation, which caused the 4 veteran heroes to be so shocked that they lost their wits and were unable to put up any effective resistance. If they were to face the Azure Dragon Demon Emperor, they would still end up being annihilated, but they would at least be able to put up some resistance. Furthermore, Xiaohan was decisive in his attacks. As soon as he transformed, he launched a thunderous attack on the 4 veteran heroes. In an instant, he sent the Emperor of the Great Sun flying, so that he could defeat them one by one and end the battle quickly. However, after repelling the 4 experienced evil heroes, Xiaohan's body was now filled with a feeling of being squeezed dry. He felt weak and powerless, lying on the ground. Not only did his limbs feel tired, but he also felt a sense of exhaustion in his mind. He felt dizzy and his eyelids were as heavy as lead. He was really sleepy and would definitely fall asleep as soon as he closed his eyes. Overdraft. His physical strength, essence, chi, spirit, and even his soul were severely overdrawn. The side effects of using the Azure Dragon possession are not small. Fortunately, my body is strong. If it was an ordinary person who didn't pay attention to the cultivation of his physical body, he would definitely age by dozens of years after using the Azure Dragon possession. He might even dry up and die after using the Azure Dragon possession. However, I can't just fall asleep like this. The competition today isn't over yet. Among the 8 participants, the so-called strongest person, the Talisman Transformation Realm expert, Ingzhantian, has yet to appear. He must be hiding in the dark, coveting everything and ready to make a move. Huff! Xiaohan let out a breath of turbid air and took out a dozen heavenly desolate demon fruits from his storage ring. He fused them into the demon the arch palm on his left arm and quickly replenished his demonic power. Moreover, the heat flow from the indestructible golden body was also rolling around his body, nourishing his tired body. His physical strength was slowly recovering bit by bit. Not far away. It's too exaggerated. Lu Weining was peeking. She stuck out her tongue repeatedly. This Xiaohan actually managed to counterattack and defeat the Great Sun Emperor and the others, completing the counterattack. He has even learned the Azure Dragon Demon Emperor's natal demonic technique. This is no small matter. However, I don't know if he has enough resources to deal with Ingzhantian. As for me, I won't compete for this ranking. I can't compete against Xiaohan and Ingzhantian. I'll just observe silently from the side and see if Xiaohan can create a miracle and have the last laugh. Suddenly, Lu Weining flicked her finger and a stream of true qi turned into the purest water vapor and flicked it towards Xiaohan. Buzz! A dew-like water droplet fell from the sky and fused into Xiaohan's head. In an instant, waves of cool and comfortable pleasure flowed through Xiaohan's limbs, bones, meridians, and internal organs. It was like a trickle, moisturizing everything silently. It also nourished Xiaohan's spirit. Moreover, there was a sweet taste in Xiaohan's mouth. It was fragrant as if he had drunk nectar. It allowed his physical strength and spirit to recover by at least 60%. Xiaofan jumped up like a carp and looked around. Who is it? Who is helping me recover my strength? There was no one around. It was dead silent. Xiaofan called out a few times and shook his head slightly. An ancient giant? I don't think so. Could it be her? Senior Lu? Was it you who helped? Xiaofan shouted loudly. Lu Weiniang's delicate body quietly appeared behind a hill not far away from Xiaofan. She frowned and scolded slightly. You call me senior every time you open your mouth. Damn it, however, Lu Weiniang did not show herself. Instead, she turned into a stream of water vapor and disappeared without a trace. Xiaofan called out for a while, but there was no response. He could only give up immediately. He bent down and picked up a jade token from the ground. Then, he strode towards the direction of the 10,000 beast-devouring formation. Giant Whale Island. On the peak of the 10,000 Zhang Divine Mountain. The ancient giant sat cross-legged and controlled the whole situation. Even I didn't expect Xiaofan to have such a trick up his sleeves. A high-level demon emperor's natal demonic technique. It is an extremely powerful demonic technique. No wonder he always looked so confident. This achievement is enough to make him proud. However, if he specializes in demonic techniques, he must have reached a bottleneck by now. He is equivalent to a top-notch high-level demon emperor. Then, if he can't mutate and become a mutated demon emperor, his demonic technique and demonic power will be stagnant. However, he is a human. How can he mutate his bloodline like a demon emperor? Xiaofan can't become a mutated demon emperor. I have also observed his bloodline. It is the bloodline of the human race. It seems that Xiaofan will soon find that his demonic technique cultivation has reached its limit. Heh. I had a chance to stop Xiaofan from killing the 7-Night Demon Lord just now. Forget it. Who asked them to be so shameless to gang up on a young man? Just take it as a lesson. However, Ingzhan Tian has been dormant for a long time. It seems that he is conserving his energy and is going to make a move at the last moment to snatch the victory of the other participants. This guy is very cunning. I wonder if the young Xiaofan, who is full of tricks, can get past Ingzhan Tian. It seems very difficult now. All of Xiaohan's trump cards have been exposed. He is indeed very strong. However, against an existence of the talisman transformation realm, I'm afraid. Boom! At the place where Xiaofan was fighting against the Great Sun Emperor and the other 3 experienced demon heroes, a golden rainbow descended from 1,000 miles away. In an instant, there were tens of thousands of rays of light. Auspicious clouds descended from the sky and golden lotuses appeared on the ground. Numerous talisman characters were intertwining. A golden-robed young man with his hands behind his back walked out of the golden streak of light at a moderate speed. His steps were very calm, as if he was taking a leisurely stroll in a courtyard. However, his steps were steady, slow, and dignified. Suddenly, a huge oppressive force filled the sky and the earth. It made people feel that this golden-robed man's casual walk was like a celestial emperor descending to the world to inspect the rivers and mountains. This man looked to be around 20 or 30 years old. His face was like a crown of jade, and the lines of his face were very gentle. His hands were empty, but every move he made was emitting a kind of magic charm that could frighten the soul. It was as if anyone in front of him had to bow down to him. It was Ingzhan Tian. This is really unexpected. I didn't expect that Xiaofan to be so monstrous. He defeated the experienced demon heroes one after another. However, he relied on demonic techniques to defeat the enemy. This is simply a mistake. Ingzhan Tian muttered to himself. 1, 2, 3. Now, adding his own jade token, it means that Xiaofan has at least 6 jade tokens. He, it's time to make a move. Do you know who I, Ingzhan Tian, am? What is their identity? I don't even bother to look for them one by one and snatch their jade tokens. Now, since the jade tokens are in Xiaohan's hands, I just need to defeat Xiaofan. Ha ha ha. Once and for all. Moreover, defeating Xiaofan is a very meaningful thing. It makes me feel like I am punishing evil. Ha ha ha. Monster Xiaofan, let me, Ingzhan Tian, deal with you. Ha ha ha. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, Ingzhan Tian's whole body exploded. Runes shuttled back and forth, causing him to disappear in an instant. Bang, bang, bang bang, 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 Xiaofan trampled on the ground, running like a savage beast in human form. Xiaohan's flesh shell was very strong, as deep as the sea. Coupled with the nourishment of the indestructible golden body and the help of Lu Weiniang, Xiaofan had swept away his previous weakness. His whole body was full of vigor and energy. He chased after the devouring 10,000 beasts formation without stopping. Soon, Xiaofan caught up with the devouring 10,000 beasts formation that was flying above his head. This formation, what kind of mysterious thing is attracting it, and where is it going? Xiaohan's heart was filled with question marks again. However, at this moment, the devouring 10,000 beasts formation stopped. Xiaohan's body also stopped. He saw the devouring 10,000 beasts formation hovering in the air, spinning continuously. Below it, a stone stele appeared. This was a naturally formed stone stele, without any man-made carvings. The stone stele's surface was uneven, crisscrossed with canine teeth, giving off a feeling of simplicity and vicissitudes. However, the strange thing was not this natural stone stele, but the stone stele under it. Under this stone stele, there was actually a space suppressed. This was a space with a circumference of several tens of zhang. In this space, light was bright and resplendent, and a strong monsoon wind blew. Chaotic air currents were rolling. Indistinctly, one could see some strange phenomena from the chaotic air currents in this space. From inside, Xiaofan saw a desolate primordial ruin. Primordial energy swirled around it, bringing with it a primordial aura. There were many dilapidated and decaying buildings, altars, stone pillars, shrines, temples, and the corpses of primordial beings. It was a ghastly sight. They were like flickering lights and passing shadows, alternating with one another. The air currents in this space give me a feeling, as if this place is the source of the giant whale island. Xiaofan was suddenly seized by an inexplicable thought. This devouring 10,000 beasts formation seems to have brought me to the origin of the giant whale island, the land of source. Xiaofan was puzzled. Shockingly. What? Why do I feel that in that strange space, there seems to be traces of life? Xiaofan suddenly felt a chill in his heart. He focused his eyes and looked. He saw that above the remnant altar in that space, there was an object that looked like a heart sealed. It was emitting divine might. It gave Xiaofan the aura of an enormous ancient creature. Bang 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 bang, it was still moving rhythmically. It seemed to still be alive. Pucci, that object that looked like a heart suddenly jumped. Its whole body emitted a dazzling light. It was almost an ancient divine light. The multicolored mist rolled over and over. It revolved and opened, and a mountain-like pressure was forced out. The air rippled like water, causing Xiaohan's body to fiercely lean back. Under this kind of terrifying pressure, he actually had a feeling of suffocation. It was as if he had returned to a period of time in the ancient desolation, facing an ancient divine beast, a creature that he could not contend against. Could this really be? It's the heart of the giant whale. Xiaohan's mouth was dry. He couldn't help but stick out his tongue and lick his lips. On the peak of the ancient divine mountain of the giant whale island. It can't be, right? This little guy actually found it? The ancient giant's countenance changed. He suddenly stood up, his face was filled with astonishment and shock. Even the ancient giants found it was actually found by him? This is going against the heavens. Pucci. 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 Countless immortal talismans were rolling in the 10,000 devouring beasts formation. The entire formation emitted a vortex-like suction force. The veins of the stars in the universe seemed to be forming, as if it was going to absorb and refine the heart-like object in that space. I can't care so much. Whether it's the heart of the giant whale or not, I'll use the 10,000 devouring beasts formation to refine it first. Xiaofan had made up his mind. However, at this moment, ha 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 ha. What is this? Such a powerful life force, such an ancient aura. Ha 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 ha. Could this be what the ancient giant said, the essence of the giant whale island, the ancient divine whale's heart? Ha 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 ha. It's very possible. Xiaofan, I have to say, your luck really covers the heavens. No wonder you were able to draw such a good lot in the first stage. Ha 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 ha. You actually found the heart of the giant whale. Ha ha ha. This is also my, Ingzhan Tian's, luck. The heart of the giant whale belongs to me, Ingzhan Tian. Ha ha ha. Ingzhan Tian's voice sounded. There was a hint of arrogance in his voice. Extremely arrogant. P.S. This chapter is close to 6,000 words. I'm too lazy to split it into 2 chapters and publish them all at once. I won't update it at night. I'm thinking if I should write this book in a different way. I'll go eat first. Chapter 277. Xiaofan was brought by the 10,000 beast devouring formation to a special space filled with ancient chaotic qi. This place seemed to be the origin of the entire giant whale island. The birthplace. Moreover, he had discovered an ancient relic that nurtured a majestic life force. There was an object that looked like a heart. Above this object, there were vague flickering lights and passing shadows. Endless images appeared. There were mountains and rivers, magnificent scenery, primitive scenery, stars and moon, forests and ravines. Every single one of them was the scenery of this giant whale island. This made Xiaofan deeply suspect that this heart-like object was the giant whale's heart that the ancient giants had mentioned. Therefore, he activated the 10,000 beast devouring formation and directly absorbed and refined it. However, at this moment, Ingzhan appeared. Ingzhan arrived on auspicious clouds. Everywhere he passed, the void collapsed, the cracks were broken, and the light was distorted. His aura was extremely vast, like an abyss, like the sea, like a mountain, like a god. From Ingzhan Tian's body, 62 halos of light bloomed. These halos of light were incomparably deep, outlining the veins of the stars in the universe. Each halo of light emitted billowing true energy. This true energy was as beautiful as a dream, and as it wove together in the void, it formed a rune. This talisman was about 10 feet long and half a foot wide. It emitted a 7-colored brilliance that one could not look at directly. The wind and clouds rolled and howled proudly under the heavens. All kinds of ancient characters intertwined with each other. On the talisman, there were many human figures the size of a finger. They were performing martial arts in a myriad of changes, creating a myriad of strange phenomena. Moreover, the aura emitted by this talisman was definitely many times stronger than ordinary true qi. Even the quality of the true qi of an aperture expansion realm expert was too weak in comparison to this talisman. For example, ordinary true qi was equivalent to sand, while the aura of this talisman was equivalent to metal. The difference between the two was too great. This is the talisman transformation realm? Xiaofan's heart stirred. After reaching the talisman transformation realm, the quality of one's true qi is completely different. This Ingzhantian's body had 62 balls of origin true Qi halo. This meant that his true Qi cultivation was only at the early stage of the talisman transformation realm. His body had 62 true acupoints that had been opened in his body. 61 true acupoints were converted into true talismans. 62 true acupoints were not very high in the entire talisman transformation realm. But even so, this Ingzhantian's aura is definitely not something that the great son of heaven, the thousand-sword prince, the seven knights demon lord, and the others can compare to. In an instant, Xiaofan deeply understood just how big of a gap there was between the expanded acupoint stage and the talisman transformation stage. It was no exaggeration to say that there was a heavenly moat between these two realms. Ha 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 ha. Xiaofan, if I'm not mistaken, you should have 6 jade tokens on you, right? Ingzhantian looked deeply at Xiaofan and said slowly. How about this, you hand over the 6 jade pendants to me with both hands. Then, after I put away the giant whale's heart, we'll discuss how to deal with you. Ha ha ha. He was heroic and very proud. His tone and attitude had firmly grasped Xiaofan. Oh. Xiaofan took a deep breath and focused his mind to calm himself down. He would not panic in the face of a strong opponent. The light of the indestructible golden body surged in all directions. The demonic power in the 93,000 demonic meridians on the palm of his left demon the arch palm had been completely replenished. Moreover, Xiaofan was secretly activating the 10,000 devouring beasts formation to absorb and refine the giant whale's heart as soon as possible. Everything was proceeding in full swing. Although Ingzhantian was fierce and domineering, it did not mean that Xiaofan would lay down his arms and surrender. Ha 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 ha. Xiaofan, it looks like you still want to resist. Ha 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 ha. How foolish. I already know that your greatest reliance is nothing more than a few demonic techniques. However, the true Qi divine art that I cultivate is not to be underestimated. You want to put up a desperate struggle? Ha 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 ha. Show me your demonic techniques. I'll break them one by one and beat the crap out of you. This Ingzhantian did not seem to take Xiaofan seriously at all. He was toying and mocking to his heart's content. Xiaofan was silent. At this moment, the 10,000 devouring beasts formation was about to absorb the giant whale's heart. This was the most crucial moment. The immortal characters on the 10,000 beasts devouring grand formation twisted. Gradually, beams of obscure light were emitted from the formation. They quietly shot into that space and merged with the chaotic airflow. Then, like flowing mercury, they seeped into the seal of the giant whale's heart in the remnant image of the altar. Heh heh heh. Ingzhantian was at the peak of his morale. Moreover, he did not believe that Xiaofan had the ability to lay his hands on the giant whale's heart. Everything should be in his pocket. Therefore, he only sneered. When he saw Xiaofan lowering his head in silence, he thought that Xiaofan's will had crumbled and he had completely given in. This made him even more complacent. A greedy look appeared in his eyes as he looked at the giant whale's heart. It seems that I, Ingzhantian, am destined to return to the martial world this time with an overwhelming momentum. Not only will I easily obtain this ranking, I will also be able to obtain the giant whale's heart that even the great figures of the past could not lay their hands on. This seems to be a foregone conclusion that the rise of I, Ingzhantian, is unstoppable. Alright, let's take this giant whale's heart first. This Ant Xiaofan, I'll slowly train and concoct him later. Suddenly, a giant jade-colored hand reached out from Ingzhantian's natal true Qi characters and viciously grabbed at the giant whale's heart that was immersed in the chaotic air currents. Rumble. There were many layers of inscriptions on the surface of the jade-colored hand. In an instant, it reached into the space and tore through the chaotic air currents. With a single swipe, the chaotic air currents in the surroundings caved in and withered. In an instant, the spatial crystal wall was filled with holes. If anyone were to be caught by the jade-colored hand, even if they were an ordinary expanding aperture realm cultivator, they would be severely injured or even torn apart. Giant whale's heart, come to me. Xiaofan laughed sinisterly. However, at this moment, Xiaofan's eyes flashed, and a bright light shone from them. Rise! Puqi! There was a loud noise. It was earth-shattering. The giant whale's heart that had been sealed in the endless chaotic air currents in that space and within the remnant of the sacrificial altar suddenly shot out. As the giant whale's heart shot out, wisps of ancient aura were uprooted like a whale sucking in water. Every wisp of ancient aura contained a heavy primordial desolate power. Every wisp of it was enough to crush and shatter mountains and fill rivers. At the same time, roar roar roar, the roar of the primordial mystical whale resounded from within the giant whale's heart. This roar was simply terrifying. All the chaotic air currents in that space were suddenly thrown into disorder, and misty beams of light went berserk. In an instant, that space caved in, collapsed, withered, and was obliterated. Moreover, that was not all. Even the space in all directions was constantly shattering, and mushroom clouds were exploding everywhere. The great devouring formation of 10,000 beasts released thousands of threads of suction force that, like a spider's web, immediately captured the giant whale's heart and absorbed it. The giant whale's heart continued to swell and puff, bursting with a terrifying power that could suppress the universe, condense the sun and moon, and destroy the 9 provinces. It was desperately trying to break free from the great devouring formation of 10,000 beasts. Even Xiaofan's body began to sway. However, Xiaofan gritted his teeth and formed a series of hand seals with both hands. His psyche surged madly into the great devouring formation of 10,000 beasts. Devour. Boom! Within the great devouring formation of 10,000 beasts, immortal characters began to roll, bursting forth with indistinct immortal hymns that suppressed 10,000 beasts. Finally, the great devouring formation of 10,000 beasts firmly bound the giant whale's heart. Just like back in the great desolate heavenly dragon empire, Xiaofan had used this immortal technique to imprison a pure-blooded Swanni and a pure-blooded heavenly dragon. Roar roar, the giant whale's heart was actually very intelligent. At the last moment, it let out an extremely unwilling and helpless cry. Finally, the giant whale's heart fused into the great devouring formation of 10,000 beasts. Within the great devouring formation of 10,000 beasts, boundless immortal light, scarlet clouds, mist, and immortal characters surged and surged, sweeping and scouring the giant whale's heart as it began to refine it. The giant whale's heart squirmed incessantly, like silk being peeled from a cocoon. Strands of beautiful light were broken down. Xiaofan had used the great devouring formation of 10,000 beasts to extract the giant whale's heart. It had happened in the blink of an eye, just as Xiaofan was about to grab hold of the giant whale's heart. Buzz! The jade-like hand grabbed at thin air. Xiaofan was stunned. However, he was indeed a talisman transformation realm expert. He had accumulated a wealth of battle experience throughout his life. In an instant, he realized that something was wrong. Xiaofan. You're up to something. Xiaofan could only watch helplessly as Xiaofan snatched the giant whale's heart from his hands. This deeply infuriated Xiaofan. Xiaofan. Die for this seat. The jade-like hand slapped at Xiaofan. The speed of this slap was incredibly fast. Like a meteor, the pure qi of the highest quality transformed into a dense array of talismans. They were like towering mountains, rolling over and crushing the spatial crystal barrier. Holy light surged like the sea, raging like the tide, and struck at Xiaofan. He did not hold back at all. He wanted to destroy Xiaofan in one blow. Xiaofan had clearly anticipated Xiaofan's rage. With a thought, the great devouring formation of 10,000 beasts fused into Xiaofan's body. The next moment, Xiaofan's body was torn apart by the jade-like hand. However, an afterimage? There are demonic qi fluctuations. It's a demonic technique. However, it's really a small trick. At this moment, Xiaofan's movements were illusory. His body dragged out an afterimage, and like an aurora, he flashed towards the horizon. You can't escape. Die! Ingzhan Tian roared. The talisman formed of his pure qi suddenly transformed into a terrifying black hand that grabbed at the afterimage that was about to disappear into the horizon. The speed of this grab was even faster than the thoughts of an acupoint expansion realm expert. The power of this grab was enough to crush a star. Puchi! 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 This grab caused a large area of space to collapse. Meteorite fragments flew everywhere, and the heavens and earth shook violently. Moreover, the entire sky was temporarily plunged into darkness. The afterimage was caught slightly, but it was so slippery that it actually slipped through the fingers of the terrifying hand. The sky regained its brightness. Humph! Ingzhan Tian retracted his hand and snorted coldly. He actually managed to escape after activating the demonic technique repeatedly. However, he was also hit by this seat's attack. I'm afraid that his body is already in pieces, right? As long as you are still on this whale island, this seat will be able to find you in an instant. Ha 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 ha. You can't escape. Boom! Ingzhan Tian's body exploded, and the talismans that filled the sky also disappeared. At the peak of Eternal Sacred Mountain, an ancient giant was overseeing this place. At this moment, even the ancient giant was moved. This Xiaofan actually snatched food from the tiger's mouth. He forcefully snatched the giant whale's heart from Ingzhan Tian's hands. Incredible, he actually dared to compete with a talisman transformation realm expert for the treasure. A newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. Furthermore, he was able to escape after snatching the heart. Truly incredible, truly incredible. However, Ingzhan Tian's counterattack at the last moment also caused Xiaofan to be severely injured. What should we do now? End the ranking competition? However, the 3 days of competition is far from over. There are still 2 days left. We can't end it now. Otherwise, it will be unfair to Ingzhan Tian. Secretly helping Xiaofan to treat his injuries is also impossible. This is also against the rules of the competition. Right now, the ancient giant was caught in a dilemma. After pondering for a dozen breaths, the ancient giant nodded to himself. Based on Ingzhan Tian's mental strength, he will definitely be able to find the injured Xiaofan with just a simple scan. At that time, Xiaofan will definitely not be a match for Ingzhan Tian. The moment Ingzhan Tian makes his move, I will appear and prevent Xiaofan from being injured by Ingzhan Tian. This youth, Xiaofan, must not die. His talent and willpower are rare throughout the ages. However, there is no doubt that Xiaofan will lose to Ingzhan Tian in this competition. Even if he loses, it will be an honorable defeat. After all, Ingzhan Tian is at the talisman transformation realm. Ingzhan Tian flew recklessly in the skies above Giant Whale Island. He was extremely arrogant. His mental strength spread out like a net, seeping into every corner of Giant Whale Island. Ingzhan Tian was an expert at the talisman transformation realm. His mental strength and soul power far surpassed that of an acupoint expansion realm expert. Thus, with a single thought, he could cover 1/3 of Giant Whale Island with his mental strength. Under the coverage of his mental strength, every blade of grass, every tree, every flower, every stone, every bird, beast, insect, was under his control. Humph! This seat's mental strength cannot find the giant whale's heart that is hidden so deeply. However, to find a living person, and a severely injured one at that, is simply too easy. At most, it will take some time and energy. Ingzhan Tian's face was filled with confidence. Xiaofan, you brat, you have guts. You actually dared to toy with this seat like this. Originally, this seat was in a good mood and was prepared to torture you a little. That would have been it. But now, the evils you brought upon yourself are the hardest to bear. Once this seat finds you, I will skin you alive and pull out your tendons. However, at this moment, what? This seat's mental strength can no longer sense this giant whale island. It is as if this giant whale island has suddenly entered a special space that prevents this seat's mental strength from prying into it. What is going on? Ingzhan Tian was instantly horrified. He hovered in the air, his face completely lifeless. At the peak of the eternal divine mountain. What is going on? Even this seat's mental strength is completely unable to envelop this island. This island is clearly right in front of this seat, but it is like the moon in the water. This seat can see it, but cannot touch it. The eternal giant's expression also changed. In the next moment, his eyes lit up. Someone has refined the entire giant whale island. They have seized control of the giant whale island. Who is this? Could it be Xiaofan? Chapter 278. Giant Whale Island. Xiaofan was running wildly. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Just now, Xiaofan had exhausted all the demonic power contained in his 93,000 demonic veins and released like an illusion twice in a row, finally escaping from the enraged Ingzhan. However, Xiaofan had also been hit by the attack. His entire body was covered in injuries, and his skin was covered in ghastly cracks. If it wasn't for the fact that Xiaofan's flesh was strong, his qi and blood were vigorous, and he had the indestructible golden body to protect him, his entire body would have been shattered by that attack. However, he was also heavily injured, coughing up blood repeatedly. A talisman transformation realm expert is indeed too powerful. I have never missed when I used like an illusion. I did not expect that I would almost be captured just now. Xiaofan secretly felt lucky. However, Xiaofan understood that he had to find a secret place to hide from Ingzhan's pursuit. At the very least, he had to recover from his injuries first. Xiaofan gathered his remaining strength and ran to a foothill overgrown with flowers and trees. Finally, he could not hold on any longer and collapsed. The 10,000 beast engulfing formation rose from Xiaofan's body. Within the formation, streams of immortal qi and scarlet clouds washed over the giant whale's heart. The giant whale's heart spun and rolled, and many images alternately appeared on its surface. Mountains, rivers, primitive scenery, flowers and trees, all of them were the scenery of Giant Whale Island. Xiaofan understood that this giant whale's heart was the source of the entire island. The land of origin. Cough cough. I wonder if the 10,000 beast engulfing formation can refine the giant whale's heart. Xiaofan coughed out another mouthful of blood. He did not dare to think too much and hurriedly activated the indestructible golden body. A tidal wave of heat spread out like a clear stream, nourishing the numerous wounds on Xiaofan's body. Soon, Xiaofan was immersed in an ethereal state where he was indifferent to others and was indifferent to humiliation. Xiaofan opened the 41st true acupoint in the 10 times room of spirit of the Wuxia pagoda. Naturally, the seals around the demon egg were triggered once again. Among them were the 71st to 80th movements of the indestructible golden body. And the 4th revolution of the 9 revolutions divine technique. As for the 4th revolution of the 9 revolutions divine technique, Xiaofan could only temporarily put it aside due to his low true qi realm. However, the 4th revolution of the 9 revolutions divine technique could allow Xiaofan to store 4 different types of true qi divine techniques at the same time. Once his true qi realm increased, it would be of great use. Now, Xiaofan carefully visualized and practiced the 71st to 80th movement of the indestructible golden body. As Xiaofan visualized, the golden light on the surface of his body became more and more intense, emitting the sound of surging tides. The effect of nourishing his injured body became more and more obvious. However, at this moment, bang, a loud sound. It was like the heart of a giant whale that had been thrown into an oven to be roasted. It suddenly exploded, turning into surging yuan qi and light. The mottled light scattered everywhere and shot into Xiaofan's body like a meteor shower. His body was nourished and strengthened. His flesh and blood were tempered and strengthened. His spirit was stimulated and nurtured. The strength of his flesh and blood shell began to rise steadily, as if there was no end to it. Poo, poo, poo. Moreover, in Xiaofan's body, there was a series of explosion sounds, like the sound of spring thunder. Puffs of blood mist burst out from all of Xiaofan's pores, and he spat out an arrow of blood. However, this blood was not bright red, but jet black, like congested blood. In this blood, there seemed to be some impurities, as if in Xiaofan's body, there was a deep hidden waste, and even the congested blood and impurities in the bones were forcefully blown out. Ah! Comfortable. So comfortable. The whale's heart has also been refined by my 10,000 beast devouring formation. It has increased my strength. Nourishing. This taste is more nourishing than that of pure-blooded sky dragon and pure-blooded swanni. Imbued with wisdom, cleansing one's body. This feels so good. Xiaofan finally understood what had happened. The whale's heart was a living thing, full of vitality and an ancient desolate aura. As expected, it could be refined by the 10,000 beast devouring formation. It was the same as refining the pure-blooded swanni and the pure-blooded sky dragon. Moreover, the quality of this ancient divine whale's bloodline gene was obviously stronger than the holy beasts reared by the heavenly dragon empire, so the benefits that Xiaofan obtained were much more than refining the pure-blooded swanni and the pure-blooded sky dragon. To his heart's content. The whale's heart was broken down into many beautiful light spots, and they fused into Xiaofan's body like a rain of flowers. A series of crackling sounds burst out, and the impurities in the depths of Xiaofan's body were blasted out, causing every pore and cell of Xiaofan's body to become like a bright star, shining brightly. There was a violent power surging and roaring in them, and waves of energy rushed out from these pore and cells, forming a millstone-like tornado in the air, crushing the air into pieces. 15 million ding. 5 million ding. 16 million ding. 17 million ding. Because Xiaofan's body was comparable to an ancient savage beast's, and his blood and qi were vigorous, and he was diligently practicing the 71st to 80th movement of the indestructible golden body, Xiaofan was able to withstand the violent power that fused into his body. If it were other martial artists who had not refined their body, not only would they not get any benefits, but they would also explode. Only a weirdo like Xiaofan, who had an unbelievably strong body, could withstand this power and not be harmed. Gradually, Xiaofan's bloodline began to have traces of an ancient aura. Ancient and great. Xiaofan was completely immersed in the pleasure of increasing his strength. Suddenly, countless images also fused into Xiaofan's body and blood. These images included mountains and rivers, magnificent scenery, boundless stars, primeval forests, all of them were the scenery of the giant whale island. In the next moment, what? Suddenly, Xiaofan's body shook. Because he suddenly felt that he actually had a flesh and blood connection with the entire giant whale island, as if he could not be separated. This kind of feeling was extremely mysterious. It was as if every blade of grass, every tree, every flower, every stone, every river and every mountain on the island had established a soul connection with Xiaofan. So strange, it's as if the entire island has become my private property, this. Xiaofan was dumbstruck. He cast his gaze towards a huge rock in the distance. With a slight thought, that huge rock floated in the air. Xiaofan did not use any of his true energy to control that huge rock. It was purely controlled by his mind. The reason why he could use his mind to make the huge rock float in the air was because Xiaofan had the power to control every tiny substance on the giant whale island, even a grain of sand. Ah! Everything on this island belongs to me. Xiaofan was completely confused. After pondering for dozens of breaths, Xiaofan finally thought of a sentence to summarize everything that had happened in front of him. I seem to have refined the entire giant whale island. Suddenly, the images of a few people flashed past Xiaofan's mind. Apart from me, there are 3 other people on this giant whale island. I can see them clearly. Lu Weining is in a valley 387 li away from me. That ancient powerhouse is at the peak of a divine mountain 2978 li away from me. Ingzhan Tian is in the void 297 li away from me. He is flying from east to west, getting further and further away from me. Heavens! This is really inconceivable. I have a feeling that as long as they're on Colossal Whale Island, then every single one of their actions will be completely unable to escape my eyes, and they'll be completely grasped by me. I can monitor them perfectly, but they are unable to see me. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. I got it. The giant whale's heart is the origin of this island. If I refine the origin, then it's the same as controlling this island. I have become the island lord. Ha 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 ha. Furthermore, I have an irreplaceable dominion over this island, so they can't even detect me with their spiritual waves. This is great. This is really great. Damn it. What is going on with this giant whale island? Even my spiritual waves are unable to penetrate it. Xiaofan. Where the hell are you hiding, brat? Right now, Ingzhan Tian was practically enraged from embarrassment. However, he was at his wit's end. His spiritual waves were like stones sinking into the ocean, unable to detect the giant whale island. In this way, if he wanted to find Xiaofan on this huge island, it would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. Bang! 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 Everywhere Ingzhan Tian passed, rocks exploded and forests were destroyed. He gnashed his teeth in anger and began to destroy Giant Whale Island in order to vent his anger. But Xiaofan, the ranking competition is not over yet. I still have 2 days to find you. You better pray for your own good and don't let me find you. Otherwise, I will teach you a lesson. I will dig you out even if I have to dig 3 feet into the ground. Bang! 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 The mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The sea dried up. At the peak of the divine mountain, I understand. Xiaofan has refined the giant whale's heart and obtained control over this giant whale island. Now, even I can't accurately find Xiaofan's aura. He actually did such an earth-shattering thing. Now, everything is out of this seat's control. What a weirdo. He's truly a weirdo rarely seen throughout the ages. From this point of view, it's still unknown who will emerge victorious in the battle between Xiaofan and Ingzhan Tian. Perhaps, he really can make a counterattack and defeat an opponent that is completely impossible to defeat. Alright, I will go find Xiaofan personally. At least, I have to control the battle between him and Ingzhan Tian. Otherwise, if they encounter each other, I am not sure who will die. It is not a big deal if Ingzhan Tian falls. At most, I will be punished to face the wall for a few years. If Xiaofan dies in such a dubious manner, even if the higher-ups do not punish me, I will not be able to absolve myself from the blame. The ancient giant stood up, his sleeves fluttering as if he was flying. With a flash, he left the eternal divine mountain. 1 day and 1 night later. On the bank of a meandering stream heading east. Xiaofan stood up. He slightly moved his muscles and bones. Terrifying sounds of stars disintegrating resounded in all directions. The heart of the giant whale has been perfectly refined by me. Not a single drop is left. I have also practiced the 71 to 80 movements of the indestructible golden body thoroughly. Xiaofan's entire body was enshrouded in a dazzling light. At this moment, there seemed to be a cosmic storm rolling in Xiaofan's eyes. With a slight glare, the wind and clouds would surge, sand and stones would fly, and mountains would be torn apart. His aura was like a dragon. A slight movement of his seemed to contain a terrifying power that could destroy heaven and earth. Xiaofan casually grabbed with his hand. A lump of air was forcibly frozen in his hand. With a slight squeeze, it exploded. He casually stood there, but there was a kind of imposing manner that could uproot the earth and support the heavens. The light in all directions was distorted, and the space slightly collapsed. Right now, Xiaofan could blow out a breath that could collapse a small mountain. His whole body was rolling with the conviction of victory. I'm afraid no one would have thought that the strength of my body, Xiaofan, has already reached 50 million cauldrons. Ha ha ha. Ingzhan Tian, you have been looking for me everywhere. Today, I will fight you. Chapter 279. Xiaofan had a sturdy foundation in his flesh shell. His qi and blood were so vigorous that they could rival ancient desolate beasts. As a result, refining the giant whale's heart went smoothly without any hiccups. In just a day and a night, he had completely refined the giant whale's heart. The strength of his flesh shell had skyrocketed from 14 million cauldrons to 50 million cauldrons. This kind of flesh shell strength appeared on a human youth with an ordinary bloodline. It could indeed be said to be world-shocking and unparalleled since ancient times. Now, Xiaofan gave off the feeling of a god just by standing there casually. His breath was like a cosmic storm, sweeping through the sun, moon, and stars. As he walked, his body pressed down on the air, causing light to distort. He was like a humanoid Ho with an intimidating presence. Divine light shot out of his eyes, piercing through the clouds and mist like a bolt of lightning. Moreover, after Xiaofan had practiced the 71st to 80th movement of the indestructible golden body to perfection, not only did his defense and endurance increase, but he could also reflect 30% of the enemy's attack back to him when he was under attack. This was no trivial matter. The 93,000 dried-up demon veins on Zhuo Bing Emperor's palm had been perfectly replenished by Xiaofan using the heavenly desolate demon fruit. It could be said that Xiaofan was in his peak condition right now. His aura was overwhelming, his energy brimming, and his battle intent was rampant. It's time to fight Ingzhan. Xiaofan smiled. In the next moment, Xiaofan used the spirit turtle's true qi to seal up his qi, blood, and the power of his flesh shell slightly. His presence immediately returned to its normal state, making him seem harmless. Strands of icy true qi shot out from Xiaofan's body, turning into a roaring ice soul dragon. In every direction. The world was freezing cold. Xiaofan leapt onto the dragon's head and flew east with a thought. Xiaofan knew Ingzhan's current location on Giant Whale Island extremely well. Without wasting any time, he directly flew over. He was going to fight Ingzhan one last time. Bang! Ingzhan was utterly exasperated. He grabbed with his right hand, and a stone mountain several dozen meters tall crumbled like tofu. Rubble shot out in all directions like it was made of tofu, leaving the ground riddled with holes. Ingzhan was both shocked and angry. He had already searched the island for a day and a night without rest. He had practically turned the entire Giant Whale Island upside down and dug 3 feet into the ground, but he still hadn't found Xiaofan. This made Ingzhan wonder if Xiaofan had already left Giant Whale Island. He did not know that Xiaofan could accurately grasp his position. Every time he got close to Xiaofan could easily avoid him. Ingzhan had returned to the martial world. He wanted to use the ranking challenge tournament to re-establish his prestige and announce to the monster warrior world that he, Ingzhan, had returned. A strong return. He had always prided himself on being an invincible hero who could easily suppress the other participants and make them obey his orders. However, he had never imagined that he would be defeated by a rookie like Xiaofan. Not only did Xiaofan possess 6 jade medallions, but he had also snatched the giant whale's heart right in front of Tian. If the competition ended like this, the one who would be in the limelight would be Xiaofan, not Tian. Moreover, frankly speaking, Tian had been utterly defeated. This was something that Tian could not accept. Damn it! There is only 1 day left before the ranking challenge tournament ends. I, Tian, have made a strong comeback and boasted everywhere that I would be the absolute expert in this ranking challenge tournament, perfectly controlling everything. However, this little bastard Xiaofan has actually stolen the limelight and forced me to return in low spirits. This has truly caused me to lose all my face. Xiaofan. Where the hell are you? Hurry up and let me find you. I will kill you and obtain your jade medallion and the giant whale's heart. I, Tian, am not willing to let things end like this. Tian roared. Could it be that the ancient giant deliberately nurtured Xiaofan and secretly took care of him, conspired with Xiaofan to make a fool out of me? This, if it wasn't the ancient giant's doing, why can't my spirit wave scan this giant whale island? Damn it! Ancient giant. You are biased towards Xiaofan. You are being unfair. Tian roared furiously. However, it was at this moment that Tian caught a glimpse of a person walking out from behind a mound of earth from the corner of his eye. It was a young man dressed in rags as he strolled out leisurely. His aura was not sharp, but his entire body exuded a unique aura. It was an extremely moving aura, as if all the elegance and grandeur of the world had converged on his body at the same time. Like the clear moonlight under a tranquil stream, like the unmelted ice and snow on a lofty mountain peak, like the gentle breeze in the sky, like the faint singing of early spring, like the first blooming flower. Unruffled. Naturally tranquil. Aloof from worldly affairs. It was Xiaofan. Xiaofan. Tian's eyes widened in an instant as he stared straight at Xiaofan, his face contorted with rage. Good. Xiaofan, you hid like a tortoise. I was just worrying about not being able to find you. I didn't expect you to actually come out. Good, very good. Then, quickly hand over all the jade tokens and the giant whale's heart, and then, that's right, even if you hand over everything, I will still not let you go. Don't worry, I will not kill you, but I will teach you a painful lesson that you will never forget. Ha ha ha. Seeing Xiaofan appear, Tian finally let out a long sigh of relief, his brows relaxing. Moreover, with a slight movement of his body, beams of light imbued with runes shot out, forming a large curtain of light that completely imprisoned the surrounding space. Let's see how you will escape this time. Tian looked at Xiaofan and grinned maliciously. Many sinister expressions were brewing in his eyes, as if he was thinking about how to torture and play with Xiaofan. Oh. Xiaofan, you do have some skills. In just 1 day, you have actually recovered from your injuries, Tian mocked. You have many sacred medicines that can bring the dead back to life. But sacred medicines are just sacred medicines. Today, I will beat you so hard that it will be useless. Hovering between life and death. You have probably cultivated several demonic techniques, haven't you? Use them all. I will give you time to activate your demonic techniques. Humph. Under my eyes, you can use any demonic techniques you want. But to no avail. I will make you understand. A higher official can crush others to death. You and I are in the realm of true qi. The gap is too big to be made up for. In this battle, I will make you lose all hope and plant the seeds of failure in the depths of your heart. Ha ha ha. After Xiaofan appeared, Tian was no longer anxious. He had the mentality of a cat toying with a mouse, as if he wanted to savor every inch of Xiaofan's trampling. No matter what. If you fight me alone, the ancient giants will not help you. I believe that the ancient giants will not openly side with you and break the rules for you, Xiaofan. As he spoke, Tian could not help but look left and right, as if suspecting that the ancient giants were nearby. Xiaofan was as calm as the bright moon. He just looked at Tian and said nothing. His eyes seemed to be thinking about something. All right. Xiaofan, what else do you have to say? Say it all at once. Wait, even if you want to say it, you won't have the chance. Ha ha ha. Tian laughed proudly. Oh. Xiaofan also suddenly laughed. In my true Qi realm, I have reached the peak of the 5th level and am about to start expanding meridians. However, expanding meridians requires accumulation. The more accumulation I have, the better the result of the first expansion will be, and the brighter my future will be. I was thinking, if I were to personally defeat a symbol transformation realm expert, then wouldn't this accumulation be very strong? Huh. Hearing this, Tian's face contorted, smoke coming out of his 7 orifices as he laughed wildly in anger. Ha ha ha. The ignorant are truly fearless. A little ant dares to vainly attempt to defeat me. Xiaofan, you are too arrogant. Your flesh is strong, comparable to an ancient desolate beast, you are proficient in unorthodox demonic techniques, and your true Qi cultivation cannot withstand a single blow. You want to rely on these trump cards to vainly attempt to defeat me? Ha ha ha. Good, good, I should teach you a good lesson and let you see the power of the symbol transformation realm. At this moment, such ambition, the voice of the ancient magnate sounded. The next moment, the ancient magnate broke through the clouds and floated in the air, his eyes fixed on Xiaofan and Tian. I have finally found you. Xiaofan, you are a little interesting. He looked at Xiaofan meaningfully. The hidden meaning was, you, kid, have actually refined the giant whale's heart and control the entire giant whale island. You are really interesting. Beside the ancient magnate stood the peerless Lu Weiniang. Lu Weiniang smiled slightly. Tian, Xiaofan, Lu Weiniang has given up on this ranking challenge. I dare not overestimate myself and compete with you. Saying this, she also looked at Xiaofan with interest. The ancient magnate flipped his right hand, and a jade tablet glowed brightly in his hand. This is Lu Weiniang's jade tablet. Since there's no way to avoid this, then Tian, Xiaofan, the two of you shall fight it out. The winner will win Lu Weiniang's jade plate. Good. Tian roared. Ancient magnate, as long as you do not interfere, I am confident that I can defeat Xiaofan. Not only will I obtain Lu Weiniang's jade tablet, but I will also obtain all of Xiaofan's jade tablets, as well as the giant whale's heart. They will all be mine. This is a competition between you juniors. I respect my status and won't interfere. Tian, you can rest assured about this, the ancient magnate said indifferently. After a pause, the ancient magnate reminded Xiaofan. Young Xiaofan, it is already very perfect for you to be able to reach this stage in this competition. Your aptitude is rare throughout the ages. What you lack now is foundation and accumulation. Give you time, and you will definitely achieve great things. Tian is at the talisman transformation realm and is not to be underestimated. It is not shameful for you to lose to him. Thus, don't be too stubborn. Even if you lose, it will be a glorious defeat. Do you understand what I mean? Ancient magnate, as expected, you still value Xiaofan's talent. Tian's throat emitted a gurgling sound, appearing extremely dissatisfied. Ancient magnate, this junior naturally knows the power of the talisman transformation realm. However, this junior does not wish to admit defeat so easily. How do I know I can't win without fighting? Xiaofan's eyes began to emit a blazing battle intent, radiating brilliance. The ancient magnate was taken aback. He stared at Xiaofan as if he wanted to see through Xiaofan's body. Suddenly, the ancient magnate frowned. This is Xiaofan's flesh shell. Something is not right. However, this does not seem to be possible. How could he become so powerful in just one day and one night? Strange, strange. It is very difficult for a mortal to cultivate their body to such a level. Could it be that this seed is mistaken? Take a closer look, I must take a closer look. Xiaofan. If you want to defeat this seat, then come. This seat will not hold back. Ingzhan Tian was already deeply enraged by Xiaofan's words and actions. His aura was like a tidal wave. Countless runes shot out from the pores of his body, rolling and spreading, covering the sky and earth. These runes were refined from true energy, but their quality was who knew how many times stronger than true energy. When the runes formed a true Qi divine skill, it could burst out with a great killing technique that could destroy the world. It could be said that the same true Qi divine skill used by a cave expansion realm martial artist and a talisman transformation realm martial artist were two completely different concepts. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. Vast chaos technique. Vast palm imprint. Ingzhan Tian suddenly stretched out his hand and grabbed. Countless runes formed a giant hand that covered the sky. This giant hand was more than 10 mu in size. The runes on its surface twined and shone brightly. Its aura was vast, ancient, and mysterious. With a wave of his hand, resounding and clear sounds of praise resounded in the surroundings and filled the heavens and the earth. These sounds were like morning bells and evening drums, causing one to think deeply, yet also like a sharp warning. But the meaning they conveyed was only a single thing. You'll lose without a doubt. This sound could actually disintegrate one's fighting spirit, and it had the flavor of a mental attack. It was really too powerful. The speed of the vast expanse palm was even faster than the thoughts of an ordinary cave expansion realm cultivator. Furthermore, it was so powerful that it could easily destroy a planet. The 5 fingers of the vast expanse palm were able to shatter the dimensional walls of space. Xiaofan, what demonic techniques do you have? Hurry up and use them. It will be too late if you are too late. Ha ha ha, you only rely on some despicable demonic techniques to keep up appearances. Without these demonic techniques, you are not even a fart. However, evil cannot triumph over good. Your demonic techniques are like floating clouds in front of this seat's true Qi divine skill. Die. Tisk tisk, Eternal Giant Senior, the means of a talisman transformation realm expert are indeed extremely powerful. No cave expansion realm martial artist can stand against a talisman transformation realm martial artist, Lu Weining said emotionally. There are no absolutes in this world. Logically speaking, it is indeed impossible for a cave expansion realm martial artist to stand against a talisman transformation realm martial artist. After transforming one's true Qi into a talisman, the quality of one's true Qi increases by more than 10 times. However, theoretically speaking, it is not impossible for a cave expansion realm martial artist to defeat a talisman transformation realm martial artist. This, as long as one can expand one's acupoints a few hundred times, or even 1,000 times, one's true Qi will be as deep as the ocean, and he will be able to stand against a talisman transformation realm martial artist, or even defeat him, the Eternal Giant said after some thought. Expand one's acupoints a few hundred times, or even 1,000 times. How is that possible? Lu Weining clicked her tongue. Then, she exclaimed. Xiaofan is going to lose. Not necessarily, the Eternal Giant said grimly. Just as Ingzhantian was about to strike Xiaofan, dispersed the spirit turtle's true Qi, and all the blood, Qi, and strength in his body were completely released. Pooh! 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 Gusts of wind shot out from every cell in Xiaofan's body. His chi was like a dragon, piercing through the air. The sound of stars disintegrating rang out endlessly. A terrifying aura enveloped the entire world. The earth trembled. At this moment, Xiaofan's robes fluttered despite the absence of wind. His entire body suddenly became tall, towering, and steep. He covered the sky and the earth, giving off a feeling of invincibility. Demon God descends. Savage beast resurrection. Boom! Xiaofan also slapped out with his palm. 50 million ding of strength. Condensed into a single strike. To be continued. Chapter 280. Xiaofan finally met Ying Tian face to face, and the fight began without any tricks or tricks. There was no trickery, just a direct confrontation. Xiaofan, little ant, die for me. What? What is this? Ying Tian suddenly discovered that Xiaofan's aura had suddenly skyrocketed, and the strength of his flesh shell had increased by several times. His entire body was sizzling, and beams of light shot out, illuminating the world. It was as if Xiaofan had transformed from a mortal into a primordial true Ho in an instant, his power surging violently and unstoppably. Bang! Ying Tian's true talisman hand actually clashed head-on with Xiaofan's palm of pure physical strength, standing on equal footing. PFFF, the true talisman hand collapsed, turning into numerous talisman characters that merged back into Ying Tian's body. However, his face was now filled with horror, and he blurted out. How is this possible? Xiaofan, your flesh shell's strength, how did it reach such a level? It's actually on par with my true chi divine art. This is impossible. Back then, when my acupoints were expanded by 45 times, the pure strength of my true chi reached more than 2 million cauldrons. When my true chi was transformed into true talismans, the quality of my true chi was increased by at least 10 times, causing the pure strength of my true chi to reach more than 20 million cauldrons. Coupled with the support of my true chi divine art, a single strike has the power of no less than 560 million cauldrons, enough to destroy mountains and rivers, and shock ghosts and gods to death. You actually used your physical body to clash with me and did not fall behind. What bloodline do you have? Are you a human of the great wilderness? Are you from some ancient country in the depths of the great wilderness? It was no wonder that Ying Tian was horrified. It had to be known that Ying Tian's entire life had been filled with countless people. He had experienced hundreds of battles. He had fought against the demon race. He had fought against the human race, but he had never encountered a monster like Xiaofan, who could contend with his true talismans with just his physical strength. This made no sense at all. Ying Tian was not the only one who was dumbfounded. Lu Weiniang, who was watching the battle from the sidelines, also widened her eyes. Disregarding her ladylike demeanor, her mouth opened so wide that a walnut could be stuffed inside. This physical body to resist true talismans. This. Her beautiful face turned pale as she could not believe what was happening in front of her. The eternal giant raised his eyebrows, his expression one of shock, gratification, and joy. All right. Sure enough, it's just as I expected. I didn't see wrongly. It was true. In just a day, the strength of his flesh shell had increased by several folds, reaching around 50 million ding. He wondered if Xiaofan had obtained a fortuitous encounter from the giant whale's heart. It was too shocking. Using pure physical strength to resist the true chi divine art of the talisman transformation realm. Since ancient times, it was almost unprecedented. Xiaofan. This young man is truly unparalleled since the ancient times. He's no small matter, absolutely no small matter. And at this moment, Xiaofan, oh after exchanging blows with this Xiaofan, I roughly know some things about the talisman transformation realm. Xiaofan's mind was also racing. Most expanding aperture realm cultivators, even those who have expanded their acupoints by several million ding, would find it hard to exceed 10 million ding even with the augmentation of their Jinqi divine art. As for the talisman transformation realm, the quality of their qi would increase, and the pure strength of their qi would be enhanced by the augmentation of their Jinqi divine art, allowing them to burst forth with the power of tens of millions of ding. The two are indeed incomparable. Just take this Xiaofan's attack just now. His strength was around 50 million ding, which is about the same as my physical strength. However, Xiaofan has opened 62 acupoints and is only at the initial stage of the talisman transformation realm. The higher realm of the talisman transformation realm will definitely produce more than 50 million ding of strength. Xiaofan also had an idea in his heart. At this moment, Xiaofan had completely displayed the demeanor of an expert. After a brief moment of shock, he recovered his battle state. However, his heart was still in turmoil, and his thoughts were uncertain. Monster. This Xiaofan is a monster in human form. Damn it. I, Xiaofan, have been recuperating for 20 years and am about to make a strong comeback, but I actually encountered this hard rock. Am I going to fail miserably? No way. Falling into the hands of a rookie, I, Xiaofan, will become a laughing stock. My reputation will be ruined. Moreover, it will create a psychological shadow, which will be extremely detrimental to my future cultivation. I must defeat Xiaofan. Besides, I have already become enemies with Xiaofan in this ranking competition. If I don't defeat him, with his speed of growth, he will be able to suppress me in 2 to 3 years. When that time comes, how am I going to turn things around? Kill. Xiaofan stared at Xiaofan, the killing intent in his eyes growing stronger and stronger. Talismans surged all over his body, like raging flames, like smoke signals. His sleeves fluttered, his hair scattered, and he looked like a demon god as he roared. Xiaofan, this seat has to admit that you are quite a character. You have some luck, to be able to fight me head-on with a trashy cultivation of level 5 true qi. However, I will not give you another chance. In my life, I, Xiaofan, have roamed the Jianghu, crushing everyone with my strength. When I, Xiaofan, was killing demons and making meritorious contributions, you, Xiaofan, were still in your mother's womb. All you have is some heavenly treasures and brute force. What foundation do you have to challenge me? Die. Vast primal chaos technique. Vast heaven-breaking fist. Xiaofan activated his aura once more, and a powerful battle intent surged out from his body. The conviction to win surged towards Xiaofan like a surging tide, attempting to put immense psychological pressure on Xiaofan. This was the method of an expert. The magical symbols on Xiaofan's body began to burn, and the quality of his true energy rose once more. 62 glowing spheres of true energy burst out of his body, and rumbling sounds could be heard as his true energy revolved. It was earth-shattering. Like thousands of soldiers and horses fighting on the battlefield, their iron hooves trampling over mountains and rivers. In an instant, Xiaofan's imposing manner had reached a terrifying state. His whole body suddenly lunged at Xiaofan, his qi locked onto Xiaofan, and he punched out. When this punch was struck out, the surroundings were boundless and chaotic, and its might was peerless. It was as if the entire world was surging with the power of the fist. The spatial crystal barrier in the sky actually cracked open, and the breathing rhythm of the entire earth seemed to fuse with the power of the fist. This punch was the heavens. This punch was the earth. No one could go against heaven and earth. Otherwise, they would suffer the wrath of heaven. Oh! The ancient giants who were watching the battle from the sidelines, although they wholeheartedly thought highly of Xiaofan and held him in high esteem, now that they saw Xiaofan's punch, they were slightly moved and muttered. This punch. It's quite impressive. It's quite impressive. It has drawn upon the power of heaven and earth. The imposing manner and the power of heaven and earth are in perfect harmony, causing Xiaofan to be pushed aside and become superfluous. He cannot be tolerated by the heavens, the earth, or even the ends of the earth. There is no place for him to stand, and he is not tolerated by heaven and earth. To be on the monster ranking list. To be ranked in the top 1500 is not an undeserved reputation. They all have amazing skills. Let's see how Xiaofan withstands it. If Xiaofan can withstand this punch, it will be amazing. Now, the ancient giants were also a little nervous. Their spiritual waves enveloped the battlefield, not daring to relax. Once there was a change, he would immediately take action and control the situation. He was very optimistic about Xiaofan and could not let Xiaofan die here. Of course, he would not take action in advance. He wanted to take this opportunity to see how great Xiaofan's potential was. And Lu Weiniang, at this moment, had already held her breath. Her dainty fists were clenched tightly. What a sharp punch! Xiaofan did not dare to be careless. He knew that this punch from Ying was no less than a life-risking punch. It was no small matter. Good. Let me deal with it. If I can defeat this talisman transformation realm opponent with my own hands, I will gain incomparable accumulation. Therefore, once I return to the Monster Hero Pagoda, I can enter the House of Psyche to break through my meridian. I can step into the expanding meridian realm in one step. Let's go all out. Heavenly Demon Investiture. First, Xiaofan drew out all the demonic power contained in his 93,000 demonic veins and struck out an ancient demon talisman that could seal people and ghosts. It directly enveloped Ying Zhantian. Child's play. Ying Zhantian's eyes were bloodshot. His eyes were full of violent battle intent and the conviction to win. His punch, as if possessed by a god, tore the ancient demon talisman apart. Xiaofan's heavenly demon investiture failed to seal Ying Zhantian. However, as I expected, the demonic power contained in my 63,000 demonic veins was enough to seal Thousand Sword Gentleman for a few breaths. But against Ying Zhantian, who is at the talisman transformation realm, even draining all the demonic power contained in my 93,000 demonic veins was not enough to seal him for a moment. This was within my calculations. However, even if I could not seal him, Ying Zhantian had used up about a third of the punch's power in order to break this heavenly demon investiture. Xiaofan's eyes were clear, his mind working at lightning speed. Yes, Ying Zhantian could indeed resolve this sky demon god bestowal, but it was impossible for him to remain unaffected. A third of the power and momentum of his invincible punch had been consumed in the process of resolving sky demon god bestowal. Boom! The next moment, Xiaofan's entire body shone with golden light. His entire aura had transformed into a state of clear skies. Indestructible golden body. Holy song. Bone civilization destroyed. Xiaofan's body moved, taking the initiative to rush at Ying Zhantian. He also punched out. Xiaofan had grasped the timing of this punch very precisely. It happened to be when Heavenly Demon Investiture had worn away a third of Ying Zhantian's punch's power. Before he could replenish it, the previous force had already dissipated, and the subsequent force had yet to follow up. Boom! Xiaofan punched out with all his strength. The winds and clouds surged, the stars shook, and everything shattered. Pang! The two punched each other again. Damn it! Ying Zhantian's body trembled a little as they clashed. Although Xiaofan's heavenly demon investiture had used up a third of Ying Zhantian's punch's power, the remaining two-thirds of the punch's power was exactly the same as Xiaofan's pure flesh strength, 50 million cauldrons. Originally, neither side was able to gain the upper hand in this fight. However, boom! Ying Zhantian suddenly felt that a third of the punch he had thrown at Xiaofan had actually bounced back. This happened so suddenly that Ying Zhantian was caught off guard. Tian's body trembled as the power seeped into his body, affecting his internal structure. With a jolt, his internal organs felt as if they were being tossed about. A sharp pain in his bones. Again. Xiaofan was unforgiving, throwing another punch at Tian. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, Tian could no longer retreat and could only take the punch head-on. The two punched each other, and they were evenly matched. Unfortunately, Xiaofan had taken the initiative, counterattacking Tian in terms of momentum. Furthermore, his indestructible golden body had bounced back 30% of the opponent's attack. This move was too ruthless. After the second punch, Tian actually took a big step back. Again. Xiaofan became more courageous as he fought, straightening up and throwing another punch. Pung! 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 The two continued to fight head-on, constantly clashing. Smoke rose from all directions, and sonic booms rang out continuously. However, with every punch, Tian took a step back. Xiaofan was like a savage beast that did not know fatigue. Every time Tian took a step back, he would take a step forward and throw another punch. In just 2 breaths' time, Tian had taken 13 steps back. Pooh! 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 Tian's clothes burst. He bared his teeth. His eyes widened. At this moment, Lu Weiniang covered her mouth and exclaimed, "It's splitting open. Tian's body is splitting open inch by inch. What a good Xiaofan, to actually break Tian's body." The ancient giant also cried out in shock. To be continued. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.